So there we are, the continent's biggest ever power outage. Will it make governments reconsider the science behind green energy?
Yes, chaos across the continent, but net zero critics this morning pouncing on the idea that renewables may have been to blame.
Breaking news out of Canada as the Liberal Party under Mark Carney wins the federal election.
Migrants convicted of sex offences will no longer be entitled to seek asylum in the UK. But why is it taking so long?
A record number of small boat arrivals as channel crossings swell to 10,000 since the start of the year.
Pressure piles on Labour to launch a national inquiry into the child abuse gangs as a Labour Lord and the Reform leader Nigel Farage team up in the pursuit of justice.
A very happy anniversary to the Prince and Princess of Wales. The couple are heading to Scotland to celebrate 14 years of marriage.
The car industry and Donald Trump's tariffs are hitting it hard. No one knows this better than the chief executive of Citroën, who is joining us live here on the show from Paris, 6:20.
Is age just a number or is it a red flag? That's our debate this morning after celebrity Big Brothers Chris Hughes and Jojo Siwa shocked fans with their relationship status.
I'll send you a present when you get home because as appreciation, because you're gonna have to give me your address though.
You're such a sweetheart, like.
How does it feel? Have you ever seen Slade in Flame? The classic rock film is back in cinemas, and the man himself, Noddy Holder, is here to discuss. We've got him live, 8:20 this morning in studio.
Very excited about that. In the sport this morning, already promoted Leeds United go back to the top of the Championship after thrashing Bristol City 4-0. Arsenal prepare for their biggest ever European game at the Emirates tonight as they take on Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final of the Champions League. And snooker's old boys go marching on in the World Championship.
If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for today and tomorrow. And for the first day of May. Temperatures are rising each day. I'll have the full details in the forecast coming up soon.
Tuesday morning. Good morning to you. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
A lot of music featuring on the programme today. We've got Noddy Holder, 8:20, talking about the re-release of their film. They made a film called...
I got your line, by the way. How does it feel? I know what you were doing.
Feel?
How does it feel when you're... What a great song. It's one of the great songs. Slade's greatest ever song, I think.
But not recognised as such, I don't think.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely. A beautiful
that
song,
is the
which
thing.
is from the film. You've seen it, though, right?
I didn't see it. No, I was 14 at the time. I can't work out why I didn't see it because, you know, Noddy Holder was such a hero, is such a hero to me. And I think Slade is the most unappreciated band, underestimated band in Britain.
Slade were the biggest selling band of the 1970s.
Yeah.
Across anybody else. And I think they're underappreciated as well. I think they're seen as like the early 70s stompers and stuff like that, sold more records than anybody else in the 1970s.
You've seen the film, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've seen it on YouTube.
You know what? When I was looking for it, because I did a lunch with Noddy Holder about a month or so ago, and talking about it, and I was looking for the film, and the only version of the film I found on YouTube was a Russian-dubbed version.
Oh, no.
It was Russian-dubbed version. How does it feel? You know, and it's really bizarre. So I showed Noddy this, and he's going, we'll have to put this on the DVD. This is amazing. So I did find it eventually, but now it's been released. It's all been cleaned up.
Yeah.
And it's really gritty, because you'd get things like A Hard Day's Night when the Beatles made it all comedic. It's not like that at all.
It's quite serious, isn't it?
It's very serious, but it's great.
Well, talking about music, here we go with Leeds United. We're gonna give the boys a hand.
I don't remember that one.
Stand up and sing for Leeds United.
It's get a bit
They
high.
are the greatest in the land.
We've got a key change.
Every day. Do you not know that?
No.
I know lots of football songs, so I do. But anyway, what is going on in the Championship? Absolutely amazing. Leeds win again last night. You're going to be talking about that. Neck and neck now with Burnley.
That's right.
Does it matter? I put it to you, Paul. Does it matter who actually wins the title in in the Championship if the Premiership is the aim and they're already there?
No, I think it's just the cream. It's just to win the title, fair enough, but it's all about promotion, isn't it? You want to go to the Premier League.
It
That's
is all
that matters.
happening with Leeds, so the plans for a new stadium.
Absolutely,
Wow.
yeah. They're going to go from about 35,000 to about 53.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, so after all these years, the legendary Ellen Road, they're not moving. They're going to stay where they are. Lots of money going into that, so...
Very good.
Very exciting time for Leeds.
Lots to sing our way through
Absolutely,
the programme this morning. Thank you, Paul.
Now to our top story this morning. In Spain, Portugal and parts of France have been hit by widespread blackouts, with experts blaming the rush towards net zero for leaving the energy grid vulnerable.
What is going on? Millions plunged into darkness. Flights have been grounded, trains halted, people left without internet access.
Well, power has returned to 80% of those affected parts after 30,000 police officers were deployed across Spain to contend with the chaos.
Well, our presenter, Ben Leo, is live from a dark Madrid this morning. A few lights on around you. How are things looking, Ben?
Very good morning to you. A very chilly Madrid. I should have stayed in England. I think you've got better weather than us at the moment. Yes, a state of emergency, as you said, Eamonn and Ellie. Good morning to you. 30,000 police officers deployed onto the streets yesterday. The power went out across all of the Iberian Peninsula at around 1 o'clock local time. Ellie, you just mentioned then around 80% of the power has now returned. I think in the last few minutes we've had a new figure of around 90%. So we're slowly getting there. But the big question this morning, the post-mortem, if you like, as we almost get back to normality, is why did this happen, and are renewables to blame? Because 20 years ago, in Spain at least, solar and wind accounted for just 5% of the grid power here on the continent. Yesterday, it was 53%. And interestingly, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, Spain celebrated for the very first time. They boasted about it online. The government were cheering and patting themselves on the backs, celebrating the fact that their entire grid was fueled by solar, wind and hydro. 100%, not a fossil fuel in sight. 2 weeks later, of course, we had what we saw yesterday. Critics of net zero are now questioning whether renewables were to blame for yesterday's complete meltdown. Because without getting too technical, because I can't deliver it with the eloquence that some energy experts can, but without getting too technical, when you rely on, for example, too much solar. And 5 days ago, Spain was running at 80% solar, which I think is a record for Europe. When you rely on too much solar and you don't have as much coal or fossil fuels running the grid and contributing to the grid, you lose something called inertia, which is basically a system where if there is bumps in the road, as energy experts call it, if there are trips in the power grid and there's problems, the system has more durability to get back onto its feet. But when you rely too much on solar and renewables, that becomes a lot more difficult to do. So that's the big question this morning. The Daily Telegraph splashing with the attack on net zero from critics, which many critics and those worried about what they call the deranged march to net zero are jumping on. On the human side of things across Spain yesterday, we saw sort of COVID-like behaviour, people ransacking supermarkets, stocking up, again for some reason, on the likes of toilet paper. Trains all across Spain were stopped in their tracks, quite literally, and still now there's 3 trains that are stranded in the countryside with hundreds of passengers on who still haven't been rescued. So they've been there for some time, so you can imagine the suffering they're going through. But as dawn breaks here in Madrid this morning, we're at about 90% back on the ground in terms of power, and hopefully we should get back to normality very soon.
But it was frightening looking. I mean, we're watching pictures there of traffic chaos, for instance, with simple things like traffic lights going down, people not being able to use their mobile phones because they're off grid there, and that really is quite scary. And the thing is, I suppose, Ben, it's saying, right, we're back on grid, or we're 90% back on grid, but could this happen again, and if so, when?
Well, the actual reason, Eamonn, for the trip out, the blackout, still isn't confirmed. There's talk about this weather phenomenon where there was fluctuating temperatures that may have caused the blackout. I mean, to me, that seems a bit flimsy, and to many other people as well. So the idea that it could possibly be perhaps even a cyber attack, that's still on the table. That's still on the table, at least. I mean, people talking about Russia, that's always the first go-to to blame when there's cyber attacks, the likes of North Korea. In Portugal, again, may not be connected, but I did a bit of homework, of course, on the flight here. In Portugal, the Chinese Communist Party, they own massive swathes of their electricity grid there. They bought around 400 million euros worth of investment in Portuguese grid some years ago. So, you know, it just raises questions, lots of questions still to be answered in the post-mortem this morning. One other thing to mention as well, it just goes to show, Eamonn and Ellie, how fragile modern life is. One minute everything's running coherently and well, everybody's going about their business, and the moment the power grid goes out, as you said, you lose internet, you lose communications, people have to light candles, and there's no access to money, to cash. Supermarkets can't take card payments. Yesterday there was a massive flurry to ATMs for physical cash, which people just couldn't get to. So again, it highlights the need I guess the concern that cash is pretty much going the way of the dodo, and yet so many people still rely on it when the technology fails.
Point, Ben Leo, there for us in Madrid. Thank you very much. Now, 11 minutes past 6, let's take a look at our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm a vicar in the Church of England in the North East. A 2016 survey of the British people found that just under 30% of the population believe in ghosts. For comparison, that makes believing in ghosts a bit more popular than believing in heaven, and a bit less popular than believing in aliens. I mean, believing in ghosts is nothing new. In the Bible's telling of Jesus' resurrection from death to life, when Jesus appears to his followers, they think they've seen a ghost. But Jesus responds with these words, "Touch me and see. A ghost doesn't have flesh and bones as you see I have." A real body, Jesus says, not a ghostly one. Why is this so important to the Easter story? It seems in every traditional culture, ghosts live in a sad half-life. In fancy literature, they're talked about as the undead. But the Easter promise isn't that Jesus goes about as a vague spirit who can maybe spook people with a good boo and a clank of some chains, but who can't actually really interact with the world. But rather what the church has continued to believe for 2,000 years is that Jesus has a new real body, and Christians hope and believe that because he has a real body, he can really do things. Not a ghost, but a real person, and one who still acts today.
Now, 12 minutes past 6, Canadian media has predicted that Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won the election and will form the next government. The opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, has conceded defeat. He said this just a few moments ago.
We are cognizant of the fact that we didn't quite get over the finish line yet. We know that change is needed, but change is hard to come by. It takes time. It takes work. And that's why we have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future for the country.
Well, the victory is being hailed as a stunning political turnaround, with the party considered ruined just 2 months ago. Now, one of his top challenges will be navigating the relationship, of course, with US President Donald Trump. Well, let's speak now to Fraser Myers, who's in the studio with us, the deputy editor at Spiked Online. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Fraser, and what a stunning comeback this is for Liberals.
It really was. The Liberal Party looked as if it was going to be wiped out. Justin Trudeau, who'd been the leader for 10 years, had really brought the party to its knees. Canada was in a sort of economic crisis, housing crisis, immigration crisis, just about every crisis you can name. And then along comes Donald Trump with his threat of, well, actually not even a threat now, it's been imposed, 25% tariffs on many Canadian goods, tariffs on cars, which particularly affects Canada because lots of auto parts are traded between Canada and the US. And suddenly the new Liberal leader, Mark Carney, was able to sort of spin that to his advantage, able to present himself as the sort of more patriotic candidate. Pierre Poilievre was also opposed to the tariffs. He was also opposed to Trump. He wasn't a Trump lackey, as some people tried to paint him as. But he was initially more focused on what Canada should do domestically and wasn't able to, I guess, get people in that sort of anti-Trump mood. So it was the Trump kiss of death, really, that changed things here.
But then he's got to make good on his promise, Mark Carney. I mean, he said he's going to take on Trump. That's going to take a long time, and how is he going to do that? Well,
that's right, and I think there's a lot of question marks hanging over that. His programme his sort of policy programme was very, very thin. This election was called, it was a snap election. He's only been Prime Minister for 2 months. He'd never held elected office, as it happens, until he was suddenly thrust into the Prime Minister's office. Things are very vague. I think there's just been this vague assertion that Mark Carney, because of his past as the Governor of the Bank of Canada, Governor of the Bank of England, so people will know him over here, that he is the sort of technocrat and the man to fix it. But actual policies and actual plan, we are yet to see.
Do you think we would have seen a similar victory if Justin Trudeau had stayed in position, or do you think it is Mark Carney as a man who has won this for the Liberals?
I think Justin Trudeau's reputation was so shot by that point. He'd become known as a bit of a sort of woke authoritarian, as well as presiding over many of the crises, as I was outlining earlier. Yes, I think partly Mark Carney was able to embody the sort of stability in contrast to what Trump was threatening. So that's part of it, but I think Trump has been the big factor and the big upset here.
Can we ask you about a different story that we are covering today, which is asylum seekers will be denied the right to stay in the UK if they've been convicted of sexual offences. It's a new announcement from the government. It's hard to believe this wasn't the case before.
Well, extraordinarily, there have been many asylum seeker cases where the fact that they have convicted sexual offences has actually helped their claim. So there was an incredible case a few years ago of an Afghan flasher, and the judge said that the fact that his sexually disinhibited behaviour would land him in trouble back in Afghanistan, so we can't send him back. There's been similar cases of paedophiles where immigration judges have effectively said your sexual offending might get you in trouble in your home country, you might get beaten up, and then that's allowed them to claim, the right to essentially avoid being tortured under the ECHR.
What about the safety of women and girls here?
Well, the safety of women and girls doesn't count. It doesn't really play much of a role when judges are making a decision. They're thinking about the safety of the migrant primarily, or at least that's how things have turned out. Officially, they should be weighing these things up. The government hopes that with this new measure, that any sexual offence, they're saying, even if it attracts less than a year in prison, should be treated as a serious criminal offence akin to terrorism. But there's no guarantee that, as long as we are within the ECHR, which the government absolutely is committed to, as long as we're committed to things like the Refugee Convention, there's no guarantee that a migration judge won't turn around and say, well, actually, we think that this person's rights is more important than the safety of people in Britain, which is what they've been doing all along.
But they will still be able to bring a case under the ECHR, won't they? And we know how difficult it is to deport anybody once they've done that.
Precisely, and that's the issue. Until we get rid of that option, then not much will change. Reading some of the reports around this, the government has an extraordinary faith in the judiciary to recognise that sex crimes are, something that should lead to deportation, when that's not something that that's not the way they've seen it until this point. I don't think the judiciary are going to change of their own volition, or even, taking instructions from Parliament. I think the problem is the ECHR.
OK. Fraser Myers, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
You want to contest anything Fraser's had to say or agree with him, please do get in touch and have your say. If we had any say in the weather, I think we'd all be quite happy.
I think we would.
Yes, and it's set to be a pretty good week. Aidan McGivern will now give you the details.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout. and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 6, 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, an even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I get quite nostalgic when I talk about cars.
You love cars.
I do love cars, and I'll tell you what, one of the most beautiful cars, or a range of cars ever created were Citroëns. Citroëns and air suspension, just absolutely incredible.
My first car was a Citroën.
Was it?
That just reminded me, a Saxo, little Citroën Saxo.
Saxo.
You know, the little boxes. Yeah, that was my first car.
But anyway, the car industry is big trouble. A lot of turmoil going on at the minute. The Citroën C5 Aircross is their latest vehicle. It's set to go on sale across Europe today. We are delighted to speak live from Paris this morning. The boss man of Citroën, the CEO, Jerry Koska. Mr. Koska, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, well, today should be a great day for you. You should be looking forward to it. There should be, you know, big things happening for you. What are you worried about? What are your problems?
Well, actually, as you rightly said, we are facing a lot of challenges. One of them is obviously electrification. The world is going electric. We are now offering at Citroën a full range of electric products, including the all-new C5 Aircross that comes with an outstanding range of more than 400 miles. Second challenge is obviously the Chinese competition that we want to face thanks to affordable product, and this is what we do at Citroën.
Okay, affordable product is one thing. Taking on the competition like China is another thing. Where are these tariffs coming into play? How are they affecting you? And do you think that governments truly understand the market that you are in and what you've got to face?
Well, we have tariffs in Europe, but we do not rely on that. Why? Because we know that tariffs will come, maybe one day they will go. So we need to be able to fight against particularly the Chinese competition on the same field with the same weapon. And this is why we are working so much on the production cost. When we released back a year ago the new EC3, that's the first affordable electric car made in Europe, starting at 23,000 euros. It has proven to be today a great success because the affordability is well recognized by the customers.
How many Citroëns do you actually export to the US? Do you do that at all?
We do not, so we are not, we are absolutely disconnected at Citroën from the US. We are exporting cars everywhere in the world, South America, India, Turkey, but not in the US.
So you've managed to avoid the tariffs, really, in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we are not at Citroën concerned by the US tariff topic. Obviously, we are part of a big group, Stellantis, that has many operations in the US with many American brands, but at Citroën particularly, it's not a concern.
Well, Mr. Koskas, what does all of this mean for the future? How would you sum up the situation the car industry, Citroën in particular, finds itself in? Is this surmountable? Is this impossible to deal with? How would you describe the situation that you are in and the car industry is in?
Well, I think the future is very challenging, but it can be really bright as long as you bring what customers really want. When we go electrification, obviously the cars are more expensive. So you need to be able to offer affordable products with the right range, the right technology. And if you are able to do so, we will be able to face all the challenges. EC3, we took 135,000 orders, so it's already a great success. We show that we can sell electric cars successfully thanks to affordability, the right technology, the right level of equipment. So I understand that there are a lot of challenges, but we can face it if we work on the right parameters to please our customers.
Yeah. Could I ask you, this power outage that was experienced in many parts of France, Spain and Portugal over the past 24 hours, were you affected? Was Citroën affected, or were you personally affected?
No, actually, not directly. We have obviously a few operations in Spain, particularly. We have 2 factories in Spain that make our cars, the C4 and one of the LCV, the Berlingo. I mean, there were temporarily disruption, but now it's back to normal.
Okay. Good luck today. Good luck with the launch of the Air Cross. I hope it does very well for you. Thank you very much indeed.
Many thanks.
Many thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. There we go.
He's a nice man.
Yeah, a very cultivated man. Lovely people. I feel bad that we can't speak French. He can speak English.
No, it's bad, isn't it? You can do a whole interview in English.
No.
We could only hope and pray.
The time is exactly 6:30.
Yep, it's time now for our Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win a 4-berth motorhome worth over £67,000, but that's not all. £5,000 in tax-free cash also up for grabs. Here are all the details you need to make it yours.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
After talking to the boss of Citroën there, Ellie and I are on looking at cars, what we'd like to change.
Our dream car.
What's there?
That's what I want.
What we've had, what we'd never have again. Talking about cars, the traffic situation, here's what's happening.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists using the M4 westbound at junction 38 Margam should be aware of resurfacing work. The exit Slip Road and Hard Shoulder are closed with diversions in place. In Worcestershire, there is congestion on the M5 southbound between junction 4A and junction 5. Be prepared for delays of approximately 15 minutes this morning. Meanwhile, those travelling west on the A2 between the A227 and the junction with the A2260 can expect a 10-minute delay due to heavy traffic flow. Stay up to date at gbnews.com for more travel news.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We'll take a break after that. All the latest sports news. Leeds top of the table in the championship, but just.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
On Thursday, the 1st of May, voters across England go to the polls.
In a series of council elections.
Mayoral elections and one crucial by-election.
They'll vote on the local issues that matter to them and let the parties know where they stand.
We'll be here throughout the night.
Live around the country.
As the first results come in.
And from 6 a.m. on Friday morning, as it all becomes clearer, we'll be here to discuss what it means for you.
Vote 2025, the people decide, from 11 p.m. on Thursday.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Got Paul, he's going to look back on last night's football, which was in the Championship.
Leeds United 4, Bristol City
0.
Correct. Leeds are really good, aren't they? Them and Burnley. This is the amazing thing. One game to go. They're both on 97 points. So who's going to win the Championship? And like we said earlier, would
matter.
you be really bothered?
Yes, I would.
Would you?
Yes.
But the most important thing is to go up, isn't it? That's more important
Well,
than
it is. You're going to go up, but you might as well go up as champions.
Absolutely. It's on goal difference at the moment. So the way we're looking is that Leeds are ahead on goal difference, and they've got Plymouth to play for their last game. They've also at Elland Road. We're a legendary stadium. They're going to redevelop that as well. That's going to go up by about another 30,000.
Yes.
So that's all going to be redeveloped.
Yeah, and I think they deserve that. Actually, everybody turned up the match last night. Every Leeds supporter got a free scarf.
Did they?
Yeah, there was a scarf tied on to each of their seats.
Was it one of the old style, the white with 2 blue bars and the yellow one in the middle?
No.
Was it one of those?
Yellow.
It was a yellow scarf.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice. That must have cost them a few quid, though.
It would have, but I think they can afford it. But you
know what, Eamonn? It's little things like that that make a huge difference to
think
supporters.
So.
Yeah, a free gift every now and again. It's kind of like when you'd open your comic and you get a little free, or open your
Happy
Rice
Meal.
Krispies or something and put it, and then you get a little free gift inside.
Yeah.
It made it worthwhile.
You know, in fairness, then the players respond to that and they give them the supporters a 4-0 win.
Did they get a free scarf as well then, the players?
You'd hope so after that performance.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? They deserved that. Talking about redevelopment, Chelsea, I don't know if you heard about that. Well, this has been going on for years, but they want to redevelop Stamford Bridge. And they've been talking about it for, honestly, we're looking back about 7 or 8 years. Then it was going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen. So now there's talk that they're going to redevelop Stamford Bridge on the same site, move it to a 60,000 stadium, but they'll need somewhere else to play. Now, there was talk about Wembley before, but now it looks like Twickenham, which would be the perfect place for them to go.
I don't see what the issue is, what the problem is. Nearby, right side of town, but it seems the council may object to this.
Right, that's it. 7 years it'll probably be. The RFU, because they've been short of a few quid, the Football League Authority, the Rugby Football Authority, they'd be more than happy with it to happen because they're going to make lots of money. But it's down to Richmond upon Thames Council, who are not quite so happy because, I can sum it up. The first time I went to rugby, and I saw rugby at Twickenham, when I was walking away from the stadium, I'm walking along, and the thing is, and I think something's strange, and I couldn't quite work out what it was. And it was the fact that both sets of supporters were talking to each other, and there was no sense of any menace or any trouble around, which you'd often get when you walk into a football match.
That's
now,
nice, though.
It is. It was a lovely thing. And as you walk along, you've got all the burger set. It's always, because it's quite posh around there. So, it's all your very, your expensive burgers, your gourmet burgers.
That sounds good to me.
Not your dodgy hot dogs. So I think they wonder whether football fans going down there, it's not really going to be so nice for the area. So I imagine if there's any reason the council don't want it to happen,
yeah,
I imagine it'll be that. I'm sure everybody will be extremely well behaved.
The snooker's warming up. World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old boys. I mean, they call it the class of 92. The snooker have a class of 92, and that was three players who all turned professional that year. And they're all around 50, either 50 or about to turn 50, and multiple world championships between them, and they're all in the quarterfinals. You've got John Higgins is 50 this year, 4-time world champion, won it 7 times. He's through as well, and he's saying that he's not playing well, but then again, he always says that and still managed to win 13-4 yesterday. Sean Murphy, our friend Sean Murphy?
Yeah, Sean's out.
Hopefully, Sean's going to be... The bads is that he got knocked out yesterday by Judd Trump, the world #1, but the good news is that hopefully Sean will be with us on the show tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be good.
So that's something to look forward to.
Right, and if you're Canadian, you could look forward to a government led by Mark Carney. He's declared victory in the Canadian election and will form the next government. Here's how he marked the occasion.
I have a question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me? And who's ready? Who's ready to build Canada strong? I want to thank the leaders of the other parties. I want to salute the contribution of Jagmeet Singh. I noticed his remarks. Leading on progressive values. Elizabeth May, who will be returning to Parliament. Yves-François Blanchet. And I want to congratulate Pierre Poilievre on a hard-fought, fair, good campaign, his commitment to the country that we both love. I also want to salute the women and men who put their name on the ballot from all parties. Thank you for standing up to serve our country at this critical time.
Mark Carney also said, America wants our land, our resources and our country. He says that will never, ever happen. We'll have the latest on that throughout the programme this morning. Do stay with us for now, though. David Wooding and Anna Firth are going through the papers with us. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Whilst it's sunny and warm in the UK, it's very windy in Greece at the moment. It stays windy on Wednesday, showers in Cyprus and also a spell of rain moving through Portugal heading into Spain. That's going to be fairly heavy with gusty winds. Dry ahead of it for Barcelona and for Italy, a pleasant day to come on Wednesday, but we keep the strong winds through the Greek islands and this area of showers and thunderstorms moving into Cyprus. It all settles down much more later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I can now speak with the founder of the blog Armed Forces Foundation, Colin Easterway. Colin, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have your company. First of all, I always start, you're a former paratrooper, right? Thank you for your service. Tell us about your foundation, your charity, the work it does, and how people can come in and help you.
We started in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, when mental health was at the forefront of everybody's mind, and a lot of veterans in our area were finding themselves homeless. So we quickly adapted and we made a crisis prevention centre and started addressing homelessness along with veterans' mental health, giving them a place where they can reach out and get the vital support that they need. Since then, we've registered as a charity. We thought by now we would have been funded and maybe supported by our local authority, but that hasn't happened 5 years in. The new national pathway for Op4 to choose of veterans' mental health, wrong veterans' housing, along with the Op Courage for veterans' mental health. They also refer into us homeless veterans on a regular basis, but we haven't received any operational funding from them either. Also, with the level of referrals increasing every week, national charities, the big charities, the Armed Forces charities, Royal British Legion, Help for Heroes, constantly sending us homeless veterans to us, has put the level of output so high that we've run out of funding. Those major charities and those other organisations don't send any funding. They continue to send homeless veterans to us, which we have to crisis manage and try and find solutions. We have an ethos where no veteran leaves our office without a safe place to sleep that night, and we stand by that ethos. The larger charities have got onto that and start firing them into us, so we're really struggling.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Real big glory, isn't it?
Now, welcome back to Breakfast. It's 6:46. You can hear David Wooding and Anna Firth there with us going through the papers. Let's take a look at the newspaper front pages this morning. The Telegraph, blackout chaos hits Portugal and Spain. The Telegraph says net zero could be behind Europe's biggest power outage on record.
No beer in Benidorm, says the Sun, as power cuts leave holidaymakers high and dry.
Meanwhile, the Star headlines bad holiday vibes as Portugal blames Spain for the power cut.
And attacks on milkshakes. The Times reveals that lattes and milkshakes will be hit by a sugar tax for the first time. Why does that surprise anybody? Was anybody outraged in that? If you've got Coca-Cola being taxed, why is anybody surprised that something with double the calorie contents of Coca-Cola should be taxed?
David, you've got that story,
I
haven't
think
you?
this is natural matter of form now. That's the way it is.
Well,
You've got sugar in a drink.
It's the nanny state again, isn't it? I mean, what they did was was George Osborne, in fact, in 2016. He put a limit of 5 grams of sugar in 100 mils. And the idea was to bring down the number of people suffering from obesity and diabetes and other sort of sugar-related illnesses, save money for the NHS. And what happened as a result was all these drinks the producers brought down the level to about 4.5 grams. What Keir Starmer's now doing is saying, well, I'm going to lower it again to hit other drinks. But the knock-on effect of this is that 866 products will be brought into the scope of this tax because it's hitting things like San Pellegrino and a latte, would you believe? So you could go and get your posh coffee. You're going to get taxed because of the sugar content on that. So the question is this nanny state? And it's a circular argument, really, because on the one hand, do you want people telling you what you should eat and drink? Should we have freedom of choice?
Yes, I don't know. I don't want to be poisoned. I don't want to be taking stuff that I don't know the difference of, and I'm thinking it's OK, and it's not OK. Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? And if it is bad for me, I want somebody to do something about it.
I mean, I think that's right, because we've put lots of tax, haven't we, on tobacco products over the years because they are so bad for you, and because that supports the health service that is actually having to deal with the consequences of people smoking, and smoking has massively reduced. I actually think I'm totally against the nanny state, but anything that actually stops these hidden things that are bad for us is ultimately going to be better for our health and ultimately better for children in particular.
Do you think this will actually stop anybody buying a milkshake, though, or buying a latte? Because, I mean, we've seen it already, haven't we, with Coke and Diet Coke. I don't think anybody's going, oh, no, I won't pay that extra 20p.
I don't know about that. I actually think we're seeing a massive uptick now in people taking around water bottles, in people getting, making their own drinks at home and taking them out with them. I actually think it takes a while. It's like the plastic bag in supermarkets. That has massively changed. That little charge, 5 or 10p, has massively change people's behaviour. I actually think it will make a difference. It's a question of fairness as well, though, isn't it? You can't have it on one drink and not on others.
OK, David, we just heard Mark Carney talking about winning the election in Canada there, and apparently he's got Donald Trump to thank for that.
Yes, it is, hands off our country, basically, isn't it? The Liberals were really suffering, and the Conservative opposition were 25 points ahead or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
As a result. But then that's sort of linked them to Trump because of their policies, and the Liberals pushed back hard and said, keep your hands off our state. We're not going to become the 51st state. And Mark Carney very bravely called a snap election within a few days of becoming leader. He did a Rishi Sunak, in fact. But the problem difference was that Rishi Sunak miscalculated and called a very early election, and the element of surprise didn't really surprise anybody, and they were down on their knees, and as you know, Anna, you've lost. But I mean, in this case, the brave step of calling an election has worked, and he's rallied the country behind.
Yeah, I think you're right. Fortune does very often favour the brave, but I think the overriding factor here is that Trump has massively damaged the Conservative brand, and Pierre Poilievre, who I thought was running a brilliant campaign, was supported by some of Trump's big backers, Elon Musk, Ben Shapiro, and he distanced himself, but too little too late, I'm afraid. And I think that is very interesting, and to see that how this Trump effect is going to affect other elections, we'll see how that pans out over here, frankly.
Yeah. And in terms of election issues, the sovereignty of Canada became #1 issue, above the economy, even.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable, really, how quickly this has all changed.
And it's a shame, I think, that Pierre Poilievre didn't get more on the front foot with that.
Yeah.
But there's another thing, I suppose, with Carney as well. I mean, I think it's quite shocking, frankly, that George Osborne brought him over here, made him governor of our Bank of England, given he's now heading up the Liberal Party in Canada. But he was ultimately he had the credibility on the economy and the trade negotiations. So.
Yeah, here's another food and drink story, David. Wine, fizz and bubbly is good for the heart. Experts say that drinking champagne and white wine seem to drive down the rise of a cardiac arrest. So I'm scratching my head. I don't know what to do now.
We need to have a glass of champagne, really.
Well, I had a couple of glasses of champagne on Sunday night after going to the football, so maybe that's... the stress of the football season has
That's a very civilised celebration, David.
Taken its toll. Well, it's not often you win the Premier League. So, yeah. But, yes, I always thought red wine was the thing to drink for your health. And it probably still is. But according to this study by the Fudan University of Shanghai, I've probably pronounced that incorrectly, there are they found 56 factors which reduce the chance of having a cardiac arrest. That's not a heart attack, it's when your heart stops. And one of them is drinking white wine. Another one is being happy, living in a nice area, and all the factors. But white wine is one of these factors, and champagne.
I think this is very good news for our British sparkling wine industry, because we don't make good red wine in this country, but we do make very good sparkling white sparkling wine, and so now we can all drink it with impunity. Support them.
We've got a good excuse now, haven't we? Very quickly, Anna, tell us about emojis spilling our secrets.
Oh my gosh! I mean, this is in my view, this is a slightly ridiculous story. But there's a couple of things that are really interesting. Did you know that emojis have been with us since 1999?
No.
So 25 years ago, we started using emojis. I have to say I didn't, but I have embraced it. Now, my kids are always telling me that I'm using the wrong emojis or I'm using too many emojis. So there, it does show that they can mislead if you use them too much. But always better to stick with words.
Yes.
You want to make your message clear.
Right, well, my words to you guys are thank you very much indeed. We'll see you again in 40 minutes' time. Appreciate it. And we're going to give you a weather update now. It's going to be a good one. Aidan, good morning.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout, and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait to see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 6, 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, and even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A96 eastbound at Cravestone roundabout, traffic is restricted due to a broken down vehicle. Anticipate delays. In Kent, a collision on the A2 westbound has closed one of 4 lanes, causing 10-minute delays. Seek alternative routes if possible. The M4 westbound at junction 38 Margam is undergoing resurfacing work, with the exit slip road and hard shoulder closed. Diversions are in place. In Hertfordshire, a broken down vehicle affects the M25 anti-clockwise exit slip at junction 24, closing 1 lane. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good morning. Net zero is blamed for the mass power outage in Europe.
Spanish and Portuguese authorities scramble to restore electricity for millions of vulnerable people.
Will the continent's biggest power outage ever make governments reconsider the science behind green energy?
Scary stuff.
Yes, chaos on the continent. Power supplies almost back on their feet this morning, but net zero critics jumping on the suggestion that renewables may have been to blame.
Breaking news coming out of Canada. Mark Carney, the Liberal leader, declares victory.
Question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
Migrants convicted of sex offences will no longer be entitled to seek asylum in the United Kingdom. But why has it taken until now for the law to change?
A record number of small boat arrivals. Channel crossings have fallen to 10,000 since the beginning of the year.
The pressure piles on Labour to launch a national inquiry into the child abuse gangs as a Labour Lord and Reform leader Nigel Farage team up in the pursuit of justice.
And happy anniversary to the Prince and Princess of Wales. They're in Scotland to celebrate 14 years of marriage.
Is age just a number, or is it a red flag? That's our debate this morning after celebrity Big Brothers Chris Hughes and JoJo Siwa shocked fans with their relationship status.
That's send you a present when you get home, because as appreciation, because you're gonna have to give me your address though.
You're such a sweetheart, like.
Slade in Flame, the classic rock film, is back in cinemas, released in 1973. None other than Noddy Holder, the lead singer of Slade, is here live in the studio 8:20 to live that again, to discuss that.
Oh, it's a classic. In sport this morning, Arsenal prepare for their biggest ever European game at the Emirates tonight. They take on PSG in the semi-final of the Champions League. We will head to Paris for the French perspective very shortly. Already promoted Leeds United go back to the top of the Championship after thrashing Bristol City 4-0. And in boxing, Daniel Dubois will fight Alexander Usyk for the World Heavyweight title. Wembley Stadium, 19th of July.
If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for today and tomorrow and for the first day of May. Temperatures are rising each day. I'll have the full details in the forecast coming up soon.
Very good to have you on board, whoever you're watching, whoever you're listening. We're on television, we're on radio, we are online, and I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Anyway, we're just reliving. There's a lot of music on the show today, whether it be football songs or whether it be Slade. Really looking forward to seeing Noddy Holder. Later on. You've met him.
Yeah.
You had lunch with him.
Yes, and you know him as well.
Well, I don't like, but I know everybody.
I know.
I didn't want to take it away. Do you know anybody, Ellie?
I know you.
I'm with Noddy Holder. I'm doing a lunch with Noddy Holder. We're talking about the whole career, talking about Flame, and the first thing he comes up to me and says, "Oh, Eamonn," and I'm thinking, "Oh, not you as well." So, is it true you and Ellie in the band? Is it true?
Is it true what?
Is it true you and Ellie and Slade as well?
Ellie and Slade. No, I do remember as a 14-year-old, making the stovepipe hat. You got a cornflakes box, and then you would curve it round and tape it up or whatever, and then put tissue
the mirrors,
over it.
because he had the hat with the mirrors on,
He
didn't he?
had.
And do you know what? He had the hat with the mirrors, all those mirrors, and it was his idea, and it was really heavy because if you can imagine all the mirrors on his hat.
Yeah.
And the idea was so when they're on stage, the light hits the hat. And then all this light goes around the arena. And apparently he's got it in storage that keeps it very safe.
They don't do it like that anymore.
Yeah, they don't do it
You
like
don't
that
get as
anymore.
close to them as that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Would it be wrong for me to start wearing a mirrored hat while I'm doing this?
No.
Would that be all
I
right?
think that's actually a very good idea.
I think so. It could be like my thing.
Yeah.
Could be your thing.
Yeah.
Could be your thing. Well, you're doing your thing in 10 minutes' time or so now.
Yes.
You've a guest on this morning.
Yes, Eric Bielderman. Do you remember our French guest?
Yeah.
From L'Equipe in Paris?
Mm-hmm.
He was so good when he talked about PSG when they played Aston Villa. We're going to have him on again to talk about PSG versus...
Why are you saying this is Arsenal's biggest ever European game?
I think it is, at the Emirates.
But if they've been in the final before and whatever...
Yeah, but at the Emirates. And also, I just think but they've not had the success in Europe that people assume Arsenal have had. And they haven't. They only won the Cup.
Who assumes it?
There was a fella the other day, I was speaking to him, and he was assuming it.
You don't assume it,
He was
I don't
assuming
assume
it. I didn't say you assumed, but there was an assumer. I hate those.
Very good. See you shortly, Paul. Thank you very much
Thanks,
indeed. Top story today. Really scary situation. Power outages in Spain, Portugal and parts of France. Widespread blackouts. Apparently this is being blamed on a rush to net zero because what it does, it leaves the whole energy grid vulnerable.
Well, millions of people were plunged into darkness yesterday with flights grounded, trains halted and people left without internet.
Right, this morning we can report power returning in many affected areas. 30,000 police officers were deployed across Spain to contend with the chaos that ensued.
Well, we're joined now by GB News presenter Ben Leo, who's live for us in Madrid. And how is it looking there this morning, Ben?
Good morning, Eamonn, Ellie and viewers at home. I must say, getting back to normality, I think we're at between 90 and 90% back on power. People heading to work, heading to the gym, children going to school. So the post-mortem has begun. Madrid, overnight, there were cheers from big swathes of the neighbourhood, almost as if Real Madrid had scored in the Champions League. But of course, Arsenal knocked them out, so that wasn't possible. But the power is coming back to life slowly. As I said, the big question, though, is the post-mortem. Why did this happen? There are many theories still on the table. Nothing has been concluded yet. One is that there was a connection issue between Spain and France. Spain, France and Portugal all sharing the same electricity grid. Another could be potentially a cyber attack. Was the likes of Russia or maybe North Korea involved? But the big question, which lots of net zero critics at least are jumping on this morning, is were renewables to blame? Because 20 years ago, Eamonn and Ellie, here in Spain at least, renewables such as solar, wind and hydro accounted for just 5% of the contribution to their national energy grid. 2 weeks ago, the government here were patting themselves on the back and celebrating that for the first time 100% of the contributions to the grid were coming from renewable sources, wind, solar and hydro. Yesterday when the power went out and there was a massive blackout at about 1 o'clock local time, it was 55% renewables. And the byproduct, well, what's needed is so-called inertia in the electricity system. That provides, as energy experts describe it, a sort of durability to the energy system if and when there's problems. But the question this morning is, and the narrative being spun by those who are critical of the rush to net zero, is that because they were relying so much on solar, at least yesterday, solar specifically doesn't provide the inertia that's needed to give durability and backup to the system when there's issues. In terms of the human side of things, absolute chaos yesterday. Tens of millions of people all being stranded across the country on public transport, on underground trains and even overground trains. This morning there's still 3 trains in the countryside here in Spain that haven't been rescued. Hundreds of passengers stranded who still need to be taken off and brought back to normality. And in the supermarkets, it reminded us, pictures at least, of the COVID days 4 or 5 years ago, where people were rushing to supermarkets to ransack the shelves. Again, for some reason, people choosing to prioritise toilet paper over things such as water and food. But the ATMs as well, people rushing towards cash because, of course, when the power's out and the internet's out, you can't use your bank cards. Cash was scarce yesterday. And again, it just underlines the need for cash despite the rush to go into a fully digital age. And it just highlights and underscores how really quite fragile modern life is when electricity goes down.
Yeah, OK. Ben Leo there for us in Madrid. Thank you very much indeed.
Breaking news coming in from Canada this morning. Mark Carney has declared victory in the Canadian election and will form the next government. Here's what he had to say.
I have a question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me? And who's ready? Who's ready to build Canada strong? I want to thank the leaders of the other parties. I want to salute the contribution of Jagmeet Singh. I noticed his remarks. Leading on progressive values. Elizabeth May, who will be returning to Parliament. Yves-François Blanchet. And I want to congratulate Pierre Poilievre on a hard-fought, fair, good campaign, his commitment to the country that we both love. I also want to salute the women and men who put their name on the ballot from all parties. Thank you for standing up to serve our country at this critical time.
The opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, had this to say.
We are cognizant of the fact that we didn't quite get over the finish line yet. We know that change is needed, but change is hard to come by. It takes time. It takes work. And that's why we have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future for the country.
In other news, top Labour peer Maurice Glasman has joined forces with Nigel Farage. And what they're doing is backing a parliamentary bill on grooming gangs.
Well, while several Conservative frontbenchers demand a national inquiry, GB News understands that some Labour MPs have privately given their support as well.
Well, with us now in the studio, Lawrence Newport. Good morning, Lawrence. Lawrence is the campaigner behind this bill. Lawrence, just explain to me the role you have. If you've got a grievance about what is going on in this whole grooming rape sort of issue, why would people come and see you? What do you do?
So it was actually less that people came and saw me and more that I was waiting for the government to do the right thing and have been waiting kind of since January. They obviously, just before Parliament broke up, they announced they were even cancelling the small number of local inquiries that they had announced previously in January.
So they're not doing the right thing?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not doing the right thing. They have dragged their heels on this for reasons I am completely unsure of. And so in the intervening time, I authored, with lawyers and experts, a ready-to-go parliamentary bill for a full national inquiry, time-limited, focused, and also that brings in all of questions around who covered it up, how long this has been going on, and all of the authorities that both failed and actively covered this up.
So you think it would give you answers that a local inquiry would not give you?
Absolutely, yes, completely. It will be national, it would leave no stone unturned. What we have written in this document is something both probably the most transparent of all British inquiries, including that all previous grooming gangs criminal cases would now be open to the public to read.
Well, Lawrence, you know that this station would be totally behind you on what you're trying to do, the work that our reporter Charlie Peters has done.
Yes.
All of his individual capacities have had grooming. I hate calling it grooming because it's just rape, you know. Yeah. The issues that have been highlighted. And from my point of view, what I take away is this just doesn't happen and then it's forgotten about. This stays with these people who have been abused for the rest of their lives. I don't care if they're 50 years of age now or whatever. It is with them. They live with it. I've experienced it. I've talked to them. It's awful beyond belief. And yet I look at the news the way you do and I think you just don't get it. And what I don't get is why you're dodging, and dodging is the right word, why you're dodging a national inquiry.
It doesn't make sense. It's completely immoral. And this is something which, as you say, it's affected thousands of people across this country. We don't actually know the depth of it. We know that there is perhaps
it still
50
goes
towns,
on.
and it's still happening.
It still goes on. I mean, I go and I mix with various people. I see people from time to time, and they will say to me, Eamonn, that man who did this and who runs the local news agents and whatever it is, he's still doing that, and people knows he's there, and nothing happens about it. Nothing happens about it.
Well, there was also, of course, a whole ream of public services that failed and actually actively covered it up. There's a whole load of local governments, local systems, which also covered it up. We don't know how high it goes. We don't know how deep this goes. And there hasn't been a national inquiry to actually answer this question. This is completely and utterly unacceptable. Someone needs to do something on this. And so now there is a bill that states exactly how they could go about doing this and get it done quickly.
And we understand here at GB News that a number of Labour MPs are supporting this bill, but for the time being, they're only doing it privately. Why would they not be public with this?
Privately offering support, I think they're frustrated, but yet don't know how to go about stepping out and really making the moral case on this yet.
Do you think that will change, though, when you've got the likes of Lord Glasman now, who is teaming up with Nigel Farage? Do you think we're seeing the tide turning on this?
I hope so. I've tried to put together here a cross-party coalition, Conservatives supporting it, Nigel Farage, Maurice Glasman, the Labour Lord. I'm trying to put together something here to show this is a cross-party effort. Politicians should just put politics aside here and actually just get this done. The public demands it, victims need it, and there is no reason for us to delay on this any further.
No. And I think people should just make themselves aware. They should waken up and they should look at the situation and realise that you're talking about children, you're talking about 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds. Just awful, just absolutely awful. And that these men who are doing this are known in their communities. They have wives, they have girlfriends, they have daughters, they have people around them who know what they're doing, and it's still turned a blind eye to. It's just like...
And worse, sometimes covering it up.
Covering it up, yeah, of course, of course.
Which is, in a sense, still what we are seeing. And it still goes on today. It is still happening right now. We haven't got nearly the level of answers that we should do. And I do not understand why the government hasn't acted on this. They just need to get it done.
What do you need to get it done? What's next for you?
Next, with this coalition, I'm hoping that there is also amendments pushed forward on our version of this bill. I'm also hoping that politicians can rally around this and say, we do actually have a document now, we can actually get this thing done, here is what it can look like, here are the powers that it should have.
What do you say to the government who say, and they've used this argument to us when we speak to them every single day on breakfast, they say there's already been a national inquiry. There was that statutory inquiry, the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, chaired by Professor Alexis Jay. So they say it's already been done and there's no need to retread old ground.
None of this focused on the authorities, the cover-up. It did not focus in the way that we are speaking about actually getting to not only understanding the networks, understanding how these all interact, understanding how they work across the country, but also understanding all of the local and national systems that both covered up, kept it quiet, and failed to respond adequately.
Lawrence, could I put this to you? Say the authorities now realise, whether they are the police, whether they are caring authorities within local councils or whatever, and they go, right, we all know what happened, we all know what went wrong, we all know what we should do differently this time, we have learnt from our lessons. You will get people who will say to you, well then, why do you need an inquiry? People know they'll do it differently from here on in.
I don't think that they do know what they've done wrong. No one has been fired. No one has been held to account. There have been local inquiries that then have had convictions previous to those inquiries, but not any afterwards. People have not been held to account on the basis of inquiries. They've not been held to account yet because there has not been something that looks at it and says, like this inquiry would, who is to blame, what has actually gone wrong here, who failed to do their jobs, and who actively covered this up.
Lawrence Newport, thank you very much indeed. Good luck with what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And thank you for highlighting it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's set to be a really lovely week weather-wise. Aidan McGibbon's got all the details for you.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout, and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 6, 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, and even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
So good weather, good time to get out and about, and you can do it in our giveaway motorhome. 67,000 quid that's worth. There's 5,000 quid on top of that. That's a total of 72,000 quid. So you've got the vehicle, you can insure it, you can put petrol into it and whatever it is. And to win it, here's what you got to do.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, Celebrity Big Brother came to an end at the weekend, and there's a singer who's from America called Jojo Siwa, and there's Chris Hughes, who would be known best from Love Island. And what did they do?
Well, they had a very close bond in the Big Brother house, but Chris Hughes is something like 32 and Jojo Siwa is 21. So now lots of questions about their age gap, and is it a little bit too extreme?
I'll send you a present when you get home, because as appreciation, because you're gonna have to give me your address though.
You're such a sweetheart, like...
We're going to be asking, is age just a number or is it a red flag? That's our debate next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and he did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're sitting talking about romance and age differences here and whatever, and these guys raised eyebrows in the Big Brother house. Jojo Siwa, who's 21, and Chris Hughes is 32. Is that a huge difference to be worried about in terms of age? Well, they've gone public with a bond that has left a lot of people intrigued.
Yes, because Jojo has very publicly broken up with her partner. But Chris, meanwhile, insists that their friendship is simply platonic, but it is an unusually close connection that has sparked a bigger question this morning.
Yeah, so we're asking whether age is just a number or is it something to take very seriously and an age difference avoided. Actress and commentator, we say hello, good morning. Welcome to Debbie Arnold and dating coach.
Good morning.
Hiya,
Morning.
and there with you is Nadia Essex. Hiya, Nadia. Nadia, you know, as a dating coach, how big a factor for you is the age gap or void in a relationship?
I think when the people are young, it's more of a red flag. You know, 21 is still very young. And certainly in the case of Jojo, a 21-year-old American's life experience is very different to a 21-year-old British person's experience. They can't drink till they're 21. So they're going to have a whole different life experience. So I'm not quite sure what Chris and Jojo have in common. I realise he's probably quite immature, but there's an emotional less of an age gap. But I just find age gaps when, you know, either girls or guys are just, you know, above a legal age, and then a 31-year-old man or woman is finding that attractive. What do you talk about? What have you got in common? Maybe when you get a bit older, you know, 40 to 50, you've kind of been through life and you've got life experience, but an age gap of that magnitude when the youngest person is really quite young is a red flag.
Debbie, what do you make of it?
I think you're being absolutely ridiculous. I think age, I do. I think age is just a number. I was married to a man a lot older than me, and he taught me everything. He was so interesting. I basically knew nothing, and he taught me everything. And I was 25 and he was 39, and he was great. I never thought about his age, not once. He used to call me his child bride, by the way, but it wasn't like that. And I think the thing is with these two, I mean, she's not a kid, she is 21 years old, and what he's doing is he's supporting her. You can see that he's being lovely, he's being cuddly, he's being kind. You know, guys of your own age aren't necessarily. I always fall in love with men when they're 37. It's very weird. 37 was my first husband, my second husband, and my third partner. I'm getting older now, so now they're younger.
Nadia, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I just think, you know, maybe in the Chris situation, it's lighthearted, and like you said, he's being supportive. But I think, you know, especially as Brits, we just have to be aware that, you know, supportive can move into grooming. And I don't mean
for goodness sake.
Yeah, well, it can quite easily happen, and it does happen. And as a Brit, we know that happens. So, you know, in this situation, I'm not saying that that's what Chris has done by any means. Please don't. I don't want to get sued. I'm just saying that it is very, very important that, you know, it is seen as a red flag. It's not just a blasé, oh, she's just of legal age and he's way older. That's okay. You know, there is implications there.
But you know, darling, our current king was 33 when he married a 21-year-old. So, you know...
Look how that turned out.
Well, yes, but even so, what I'm saying is that I don't think that having an older partner is a red flag at all. It's all about your number. You know how you feel inside. When you look in the mirror, isn't that true, Eamonn? The shock that you get is when you see how old you look when you look in the mirror. But when, not you personally, but, you know, the fact is the person inside...
The only time you realise you're old is when you do look in the mirror or walk past a shop window or whatever, yeah. But Debbie, are you not missing, and I want to put this to Nadia there, there's another issue here, there's a bigger issue here, and that is that Jojo was self-confessed lesbian. And
yeah, but I think the thing is, sorry, Eamonn, I think the thing is with as well is I think she probably falls in love with a person. And I think that's different. And I think she's, you know, fallen. And the way he treats her, he's so lovely. Would you rather that she'd be with a guy with her own age? She wouldn't know how to treat her.
No.
And they're in a very different situation there.
I think that with Jojo, she's a really good example for the future generations to be mindful of being so passionate about their labels, because that's a perfect example of she went into the house a staunch lesbian and now she is not. And that is a perfect example of a young person who, because she's now met someone else that she's realized she can have feelings for, she's now changed her whole definition of herself and her sexuality. And I know that's a whole different subject, but it's just a really good thing for young people to see that actually, you know, at that age, you don't know who you are yet. So maybe calm down on being so hard with the labels and so passionate about, you know, all the rights of all the people, and just enjoy life, because you can fall in love with a person, not a gender.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that we've got to look at as well, because it just doesn't happen in younger girls like that. We've all known people who've been straight all their lives, married for years, and suddenly come out gay, and you think, oh, okay.
Okay, well, ladies, I have to say, very wise words from the both of you. We're out of time to take it any further, but thank you very much indeed for airing those thoughts and views for our viewers and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Eamonn. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Let us know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/yoursay. Now do stay with us. Coming up, sport with Paul Coit. That's next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 westbound, junction 38 at Margam, resurfacing work has led to a closed exit slip road and hard shoulder, with diversions currently in place. Meanwhile, on the A2 westbound between the junctions with the A227 and the A2260 in Kent, an incident involves multiple cars with one of 4 lanes closed. This is causing delays of around 10 minutes, expected to clear between 9:45 and 10 this morning. Please proceed with caution and account for this in your travel plans. Stay up to date at gbnews.com for more travel news.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
all busy in sport this morning. Going to be a busy night tonight. Paul, what's happening?
Yeah, huge game. Champions League. Well, we've got the European games this week. We're into semi-finals of the Europa League by Thursday, and it's the semi-final of the Champions League. Arsenal are left in, and they're going to be playing Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain, who managed to get through past Aston Villa, but it's to the Emirates tonight. And you know what? I thought we'd bring him back, because not only is one of my favourite journalists, he's my most favourite Frenchman.
Oh.
Next to David Ginola
That's a big statement.
and Sacha Distel, I will say. They're your big three. From L'Equipe, sports journalist Eric Bielderman. Morning, Eric.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Look, it's great to have you on again. So how are you feeling a bit? You're a PSG man as well as a neutral journalist, I know, when it comes to sport. So how do we feel it's going to go against Arsenal? Because this is, with respect to Aston Villa, I think this is going to be a trickier proposition for PSG, isn't it, tonight?
Yeah, we are more likely... Sorry for my voice. I lost my voice a couple of days ago, so I hope you will hear me.
What are you doing? Is it shouting at the football? Is that what it is? What's been going on? Are you OK?
Yeah, I'm okay. Too much cheering over the weekend, looking for the Tuesday night game. In fact, this game is a tricky one, like the Liverpool one was a tricky one.
Yeah.
We had the feeling that it's going to be a very difficult task, and nothing compared to the Aston Villa previous game mood. Before Aston Villa, we were like, it's going to be quite an easy qualification, and it was not, in fact. This time, we are, I would say, 50-50, just also because in the French league, we have lost, Paris Saint-Germain have lost his first game in the season at home to Nice, 1-3, and that's something in the air which, you know, the media will like to put the negative perspective or the doubtful perspective before a game. So that was the perfect tempo with this defeat to say, oh, Paris Saint-Germain is not like it was a month ago, blah, 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 you know.
See, I look at it as if I was an Arsenal fan, and I always sort of try and think on the positive. Well, actually, thinking to be an Arsenal fan is the most difficult thing for me to do as it is.
Yeah.
But if I was, which is really a worry, I'd be thinking that maybe if Paris Saint-Germain lost, then that would then refocus them, and then would think we're not going to take anything for granted from now on. So anyway, you look at it any way you want, I suppose. But what would Paris Saint-Germain, what do PSG want from the Emirates tonight? Would you be happy with a draw? Do you need to win? What do they need to do?
I think we need not to lose. We are a very attractive team, very compact team, very working like a team spirit. We do believe that we can score away. We do believe that we can have a draw at Emirates. We know that in the knockout phase, we beat Liverpool.
Yes.
We beat Aston Villa. Before that, in a very demanding and important game, we have beaten 4-2 Man City at the Parc des Princes. So we know in the second leg, we have the possibility to win the game. Why? Because compared to Liverpool and compared to Aston Villa, we do play home the second leg. So if we have a draw tonight, that would be the perfect result. I do believe it.
OK, for Arsenal fans, I'm beginning to think you sound much less confident than you did last time we spoke to you. One more very quick one, Eric. Yeah. I do want to ask you, and that's the fact that I see that only 2,000 Arsenal fans are going to be allowed into the Parc des Princes. Well, what's going on there? That's a bit unfair, isn't it?
They think so.
But the Paris Saint-Germain fans, they say we have only 2,500 ticket allocation, which is a bit of a low allocation compared to what you could expect. And the Parc des Princes is only 57 stadium, 47,000. It's not a big stadium. So I would like to have a Parc des Princes with 80, 90. We would have a full house and we could have 7,000 Arsenal fans. And I like when there is a numerous of away fans, of course. Sure. But some of my colleagues, English colleagues and English friends are coming over. And I'm going to have, in a week time, some some good drinks with them.
Well, look, enjoy. Look after that voice, because you could be doing some shouting tonight, Eric.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next week I'm your man.
Very much like this. Eric, thank you very much.
See you,
Enjoy
Eric.
the game.
Thank
we'll
you.
speak to you soon. Thank you, Eric.
We could go to that meeting in a
what?
week's time. We could be PSG fans. Yeah,
I know.
We could be mixing with his PSG
I think
mates.
so. A little glass of wine on the Champs-Elysees before the game.
That'd be
I think
nice.
it'll suit us down to the ground.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. We'll take a break. We're back with the papers. See you right after this.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Whilst it's sunny and warm in the UK, it's very windy in Greece at the moment. It stays windy on Wednesday, showers in Cyprus, and also a spell of rain moving through Portugal, heading into Spain. That's going to be area of showers and thunderstorms moving into Cyprus. It all settles down much more later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
You've got Cambridge versus Oxford tonight, although you might want to ring up Oxford and see whether or not they've actually heard of Kai. I think rankings is a great thing. When I was at university, it was very intense. Sure, it creates a really competitive atmosphere, but if you go to an elite university, you should expect a competitive atmosphere, because you should expect that by the end of it, you will be refined in fire to be amongst the best in the world at whatever subject you're studying. So I frankly think it's fantastic if you could weigh yourselves up against your peers. Obviously, it runs against the sort of pathetic wokery that we've seen in recent years. It doesn't want anybody to be able to see, you know, how they measure up against other people. But, you know, I don't know whether this is woke or if it's just pathetic. But of course, I have it on good authority that Kai had a very healthy work-life balance when he was at Oxford. Maybe a little too healthy, wouldn't you say, Kai?
Well, it's no surprise that the Cambridge person on the panel is a bit boring.
Where did you go, Kai? Where did you go? Just for the record, where did you go?
Oxford.
Right, let's carry on.
And I do apologise to the viewers. You probably didn't expect to have two Oxbridge plankers on your screens tonight. Look, everybody knows where they stand in their classes. All the Cambridge has done is vowed to review class lists, weekend lectures, teaching outside of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I mean, you and I both know it's a tough slog.
Should be.
It's a difficult one. It should be. Our elite universities should be a place where you're tested to the limit. It is an assault course, you know. You have 8 exams in 10 days to judge the entirety of your degree right at the end of it. But you don't need to be ranked in a public forum in your class to know where you stand.
GB News, the People's Channel.
On Thursday, the 1st of May, voters across England go to the polls.
In a series of council elections.
Mayoral elections and one crucial by-election.
They'll vote on the local issues that matter to them and let the parties know where they stand.
We'll be here throughout the night.
Live around the country.
As the first results come in.
And from 6 a.m. on Friday morning, as it all becomes clearer, we'll be here to discuss what it means for you.
Vote 2025, the people decide, from 11 p.m. on Thursday.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Just about 10 minutes ago, we were doing an interview based on age gap love, following the involvement of 2 contestants from Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother. Basically, everybody's saying it's not an issue. John says, I met my wife when she was an 18-year-old schoolgirl. I was 24. We got engaged when she was 27. We're married at 28. We lived together after we married, and we've just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary last year. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of these, I have to say. Chris does point out our neighbours are a 78-year-old woman married to a 92-year-old man. She often tells us when they were younger, a 14-year age gap difference wasn't important at all. But when he reached 80 and she was still in her 60s, it became very difficult and has become more so over the last 10 years. So that's to do with his physicality. Basically.
I guess that's when you
getting old.
Experience the difference, from you?
That point of view. Let's look at the newspapers today, front pages. Let's see them.
Blackout chaos hits Portugal and Spain. That's what the Telegraph is leading with today. They say net zero could be behind Europe's biggest power outage on record.
No beer in Benidorm leads the Sun as power cuts leave British holidaymakers high and dry.
Meanwhile, the Star headlines bad holiday vibes as Portugal blames Spain for the power cut.
Tax on milkshakes. Times reveals latte and milkshakes will be subject to a sugar tax. With our views on those stories and more, David Wooding and Anna Firth. Very good to see you both.
Yeah, morning, you two. Anna, let's start with this story, shall we, in many of the papers today. This is the rap trio Kneecap. They've been accused of incitement to murder Tory MPs.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a serious story. This is a rap group that did a concert a couple of years ago, and it shows footage of one of the members of the group saying, "The only good Tory is a dead Tory. Kill your local MP." Now, my blood ran cold when I heard that, not only having been an MP, but having succeeded, the wonderful Sir David Amess. It's a racing certainty, unfortunately, in our modern society, that another MP at some point will be attacked. We've had 2 killed within 5 years, and, of course, Stephen Timms was stabbed. And this is dangerous rhetoric. It's clearly illegal. It's incitement to violence. And frankly, they should be prosecuted, which is some of the MPs in Kemi Badenoch have called for. I would say they have apologised today to Katie Amess, who took to the airwaves yesterday, and to the family of Joe Cox. Quite right, but that does not take away from the fact that this is extremely dangerous, horrific, instructions, and it should not be happening.
Well, as you say, they've apologised, but they've still received government funding in the past, haven't they? And they're also playing at Glastonbury this summer.
Glastonbury, which is supposed to be a symbol of peace and love and hope. They should not be hosting a group like this. And it's not only these instructions about killing MPs. They've also said things like up Hamas, up Hezbollah, which are prescribed terrorist organisations.
That's being looked at, isn't it, as an offence? And as Ellie mentions, the £14,000 that they've been given of government funding. Good point for Kemi Badenoch here, in that she blocked it originally when she was in government.
She did.
But it was only because they used legal challenge to that decision that they've actually got the money. But the Labour government is saying they won't give them any more. But, yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah, truly is shocking story.
Well, we've got you there, David. This net zero situation and the power cuts throughout Europe, I mean, this is quite a scary situation. So it is, as to whatever caused this. It's quite frightening that France and Spain and Portugal are all connected up to the same power grid.
Yeah, and they're both, for the grace of God, go us, because it seems that Britain is at risk because of this net zero drive. Yeah. The irony of this whole thing is because they're producing so much energy from solar and wind power, it blocks out the system. So it's a bit like the system cannot cope when there's a surge of sunshine or wind into the generators, unlike the coal-fired or current systems of doing this thing. And Britain could, by about 2030, have full reliance on this sort of power, which would mean that we would be at risk of the same thing. And apparently it happened in January when there was an anticyclone, so there was no wind and no sunshine. And we were very close to having a meltdown ourselves.
Really?
This story hasn't been written. It was only because of power from Norway under a 450-mile interconnector that we kept the lights on. And don't forget, you know, the government's job is to keep Britain safe. But another thing is important is to keep the lights on. I mean, as we've seen over there.
Absolutely. Imagine if you were in hospital. Imagine if your baby was in an incubator or if you're on a life support machine. Now, yes, they do have backup generators, but doesn't this absolutely underline the madness of going full scale down a route and putting too many of our energy eggs into the same basket?
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about this outside. It's a bit like you've got your bank. You're giving your money to your bank. You're doing very well, and your bank turns around and says, "Oh, you've given us so much money. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't handle this. You know, you can't have any of it out." I mean, it's absolute madness.
I mean, certain fallouts from all of this. I mean, traffic chaos, phone outages as well. It really was scary to see.
Imagine if you were in a lift. Last week I was in Parliament and I took a lift, which I never used to do when I was actually there. And we had the lift engineer, unfortunately, inside the lift, and the lift stopped. 25 minutes. Never take a lift with the lift engineer inside the lift.
Goodness me! And no beer in Benidorm, David, as well. One of the consequences.
Yeah, well, that's one of the Sun have done it as a fun angle that because of the lack of power, not only could you not use the pumps to get the beer into the glass, but you couldn't keep it cold. And there was a couple of Brits out there on holiday complaining, you know, I like a cold lager when I'm in Spain and I can't have one.
Yeah. Have we done this?
No, we haven't yet.
Yeah.
David, should we take a look at the rape gangs scandal? And we've now got this cross-party connection, haven't we?
We've got
not much of a connection.
Well, Labour peer Maurice Glasman has joined forces with Nigel Farage. They're backing this parliamentary bill calling for a statutory inquiry into the abuse gang scandal.
And this is a GB News exclusive, I
it
gather.
Is,
So Maurice Glasman, he's the architect of what was called Blue Labour. And when Jeremy Corbyn was the Labour leader, he was one of the most vocal Labour big knobs who was calling for, you know, a sensible centre, middle of the road Labour policies, and he's saying here, look, we've got to do something about this. And the perception is that Jess Phillips, the minister concerned, doesn't want to hold an inquiry into this because most of the people in the gangs are of Pakistani origin, and there is a fear that Labour will alienate its Asian vote, which is quite a strong Labour supporting group of people. But yet, Maurice Glasman has backed Nigel Farage, which is a big breaking of ranks because, one, he's going against the Labour leadership.
I just want to thank GB News for all their work on this, because this is still happening up and down the country.
Happening. Absolutely still happening.
We need this national inquiry.
Labour, just to say, ahead of the local elections this week, they're saying that the grooming scandal was one of the greatest failures in our country's history. Vulnerable young people let down time and time again. We fully support police investigations and independent inquiries to get answers.
Hannah and David, thank you very much for your time this morning. Let's go to the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout, and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait to see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but Sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 6, 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, and even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A96 eastbound at the Cravestone roundabout, a broken down vehicle is causing delays, and motorists are urged to take extra care. On the M4, the westbound exit slip road at junction 38, Margam, remains closed due to resurfacing work with diversions. In Northamptonshire, congestion affects drivers on the A14 eastbound between junction 15 and 16, causing approximately 20-minute delays. In Kirklees, the M62 westbound between junction 24 and 22 is partially closed due to a road traffic collision, resulting in a 40-minute delay. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Net zero blamed for the mass power outage there's been in Europe.
Spanish and Portuguese authorities scramble to restore electricity for millions of vulnerable people.
Well, will the continent's biggest ever power outage make governments reconsider why it actually happened?
Breaking news out of Canada this morning as Liberal leader Mark Carney declares victory.
The question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
Migrants convicted of sex offences will no longer be entitled to seek asylum in the UK. But why has it taken until now for the law to change?
Well, the government seems determined to tighten up the laws around who is eligible for asylum. It comes as they seem powerless to stop the numbers coming across the channel.
Well, as Mark alluded to, there are a record number of small boat arrivals as channel crossings swell to 10,000 since the beginning of the year.
Pressure piling on Labour to launch a national inquiry into the child abuse gangs. A Labour Lord and Reform leader Nigel Farage team up in the pursuit of justice.
Happy anniversary to the Prince and Princess of Wales. The couple head to Scotland to celebrate 14 years of marriage.
Well, we've already done this and we'll not be doing it again. But anyway, it's about, is age just a number in relationships? And you say it is just a number, and most of you have got age gap relationships. Get on very, very well.
Also, don't miss our special interview with a decluttering expert who's going to help you keep your busy life in order.
Slade in Flame from 1975 is a classic rock film. It's back in cinemas. It's been remastered, retouched up, and none other than Noddy Holder is here to discuss. He's live in the studio in 20 minutes' time.
Oh, what a film it is as well. In the sport this morning, already promoted Leeds United go back to the top of the Championship after thrashing Bristol City 4-0 last night. Arsenal prepare for their biggest ever European game at the Emirates tonight. They take on Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final of the Champions League. And snooker's old boys, well, they're 50. I mean, well, I'd say snooker's young boys go marching on in the World Championship.
If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for today and tomorrow and for the first day of May. Temperatures are rising each day. I'll have the full details in the forecast coming up soon.
And coming up right now, the rest of our programme, we're on air with you until 9:30. Thank you for your company. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Well, let's head straight to Westminster, shall we? We're joined by Shadow Home Office Minister Matt Vickers this morning. Good to see you this morning, Mr Vickers. And can I start by asking you about the rape gangs?
Good morning, the sun's shining.
I'm glad it's shining. It's set to be good this week. Let's talk about the rape gangs, shall we? Because the Labour peer Maurice Glasman has joined forces with Nigel Farage to back a parliamentary bill that calls for a statutory inquiry into the abuse gang scandal. Now, GB News understands that there's Labour backing for this as well, but only privately so far. They haven't come forward to support it publicly. Are you, the Tory party, prepared to work with Reform and Nigel Farage on this issue?
Well, you can talk about those 5 MPs, but what I'll talk about is the issue. This is a huge issue across the country. We've heard more than 50 towns affected. We need to do whatever it takes to drag the government to having that national inquiry so that these victims can get justice, so that those people responsible for these things are held to account, but also so that anybody who's found to have covered it up, we know there is evidence out there that people covered this up, yet not one of those people has been convicted for doing so. We need national inquiry, and we need one now.
Can I ask you about this rap group, Kneecap, who have emerged in a video, November 2023, where one of the band members appears to say, "The only good Tory is a dead Tory, kill your local MP." And there's another video that the Metropolitan Police are currently looking at, where it appears to show a band member shouting, "Up Hamas, up Hezbollah." That was a performance in London. Now, the band have apologised, it must be said, but they have received funding from the UK government, £14,000 from an arts fund, and they're also scheduled to perform at Glastonbury this summer. Should they be dropped from Glastonbury, and should they lose that arts fund?
They most definitely should. There is no place for this sort of stuff in Britain, for those sort of threats. Yesterday we sat in the chamber, we saw the two plaques on the wall. The plaque of Sir David Amess, an incredible parliamentarian whose life was cut short, he was stolen from us. We saw Joe Cox and what happened there, horrendous situation, two incredible parliamentarians who had a lot to give. This is a threat to individuals, but it's also a threat to our democracy and our ability to have debates, have discussions and argue the case for what needs to happen in Britain going forwards. It can't be allowed to go on. Glastonbury should ditch them, and that money should be returned to the taxpayer.
Can I talk to you about pensions, please, and the triple lock? Because we heard from Kemi Badenoch yesterday saying that there's currently, as of now, no change on the triple lock. Does that mean then the door is open to means testing in the future of the state pension?
You should judge us by what we do. Actually, we protected that winter fuel payment for pensioners across the country while the Labour Party trashed it. They stole it from people without notice. Every week I speak to people in my surgeries who are struggling to make ends meet, usually single people, usually widows, people on one income, on a fixed income, struggling to get by, who had that 300 quid stolen from them. The triple lock was a hugely beneficial thing to many pensioners. We brought it in, we protected it, and we continue to fight the corner for it as we march forwards.
Yesterday, small boat crossings passed 10,000, the earliest point in the year since records began. How do you think this has got so out of control? I mean, the government, we were speaking to them yesterday, blamed the dire inheritance that was left by you.
It's rubbish. When you look at where we were at, the numbers were coming down, the number of people arriving was coming down. The number of people who were arriving in a small boat and being removed was going up. We were reducing the number of people staying in hotels. Under this government, in the last 9 months, we've got a record number of arrivals. We've got more than 30% more people arriving. We've got more people staying in hotels, 28% more in hotels, 8,500 more people in hotels. And of those people who are arriving here illegally, less of them are being removed than were being removed before the election. It's a recipe for disaster, but we've had a bill in there to look at what the future of border security in this country looks like. They're removing all the deterrents that were put in place. They're allowing people who arrive here illegally to become British citizens. What sort of message does that send to people across the globe who might want to come here illegally, break into our country? It's completely wrong, it's balmy, but we knew what was going to happen before the election when this lot got in charge.
Thank you for your comments, Matt Vickers. We're taking on board. People will have their say on them throughout the programme today. We say goodbye to you. Appreciate your time. We head now to Madrid. This power outage, Madrid badly affected by what's going on, things getting back to normal. Let's go to Ben Leo, who's there for us this morning. Ben, how's it looking?
Good morning, Eamonn. Good morning, Ellie, and viewers at home. We're pretty much back to normal. 99% power restored to Spain and indeed Portugal, which had the most of the blackout yesterday. The front page of El Mundo newspaper here in Spain, ready for my accent, I'm going to butcher this. El gran apagón desconecta a España, which means the big blackout in Spain. The big narrative this morning, though, the question is, after all the chaos yesterday with supermarkets being ransacked, the internet going down, is what caused the blackout? We still don't know the answer. There's going to be a big meeting held by King Felipe later on today, so maybe we'll get some more clarity. But there's a few narratives doing the round. One is that it could possibly still be a cyber attack, maybe Russia, North Korea involved. But the other narrative this morning, which a lot of net zero critics are jumping on, is the possibility that Spain's massive reliance on renewable energy had a part to play, because I've said a couple of times this morning, but just for new viewers who have tuned in, 20 years ago, Spain was mostly fossil fuels. Renewables such as hydro, wind and solar accounted for just 5% of the contribution to the energy grid. 2 weeks ago, though, Spain, for the very first time, there was a big fanfare at the time, they celebrated being 100% renewable for 24 hours, most of that coming from solar. And the problem is, when you have so much solar energy, energy experts are telling us this morning that you lose something called inertia, which basically provides sustainability and durability to an energy system when there's bumps in the road and disconnections and short circuits. Solar provides no stability on that front. So net zero critics this morning jumping all over that and suggesting that that could have played a part rather in yesterday's chaos. In terms of what happened yesterday, it was chaos. Subway trains stopping mid-tunnel, passengers having to walk through dark underground stations and tracks to get back overground. Overground trains as well. There's still 2 trains stranded in the countryside here in Spain. Passengers needing to be rescued still. ATMs were down, everybody scrambling for cash in the wake of bank cards not working. People couldn't buy food and drink from supermarkets unless they had cash. And it just highlights again the need for cash and how fragile modern life is when the electricity grid goes down. I'm going to have to get out of the way because there's a van behind me.
Yes, before you're killed. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it. Thank you. Ben Leo there in Madrid. The boat situation, latest news from there. We go to Mark Wright. Mark, good morning.
Still they come every time the weather conditions allow for small boats in the channel. Eamonn and Ellie, they come across, and this morning already 4 small boats, so that's about 250 migrants worth, are in the channel. One actually made it earlier this morning to Dover, 3 others crossing as we speak, and we expect actually there will be more coming across the channel as the day progresses and into tomorrow, because we've got good weather. So whatever the government says it is or isn't doing in the fight against the people smugglers, demonstrably it's not having the desired effect, because when the weather allows, they cross in ever greater numbers. And yesterday we, of course, passed that grim milestone of 10,000 who've arrived so far this year. We're already 24 hours on since we broke that. It's at 10,500. It just shows you how quickly things can change out in the channel, and it's against that backdrop that the government is attempting to tighten up who is eligible for asylum by toughening the laws around those that have been convicted of sex offences. So those who are even if they don't receive a jail term, or a jail term is under 12 months, if they are put on the sex offenders register, then they are precluded for applying for refugee status. But the key thing to add to this, the caveat at the end of the day, is that they will still be able to apply for asylum effectively under the European Convention of Human Rights, under that Article 8, the right to family life, which has been used on so many occasions to ensure that those individuals who might otherwise be thrown out of this country are given the permission to stay here in the UK because of their right to a family life.
Okay, Mark, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Just to say to you, we have got Noddy Holder is in the building, and the rock legend will be in the studio very, very shortly after we bring you a weather update from
Aidan McGibbon. Here he is.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout, and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait to see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, and even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
At 8:15, it's time for our Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win a 4-berth motorhome worth over £67,000 plus £5,000 in tax-free cash.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very good. It's a prize package worth over £72,000 and it could all be yours. Imagine yourself at the wheel. That's all the details that you need.
Here it is.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, we've got a musical legend in the studio next, talking about the film they made in 1975, Flame. Slade in Flame, and there he is, not exactly in flame with us today, but Noddy Holder, loving to be here, we're loving having him with Noddy right after this break.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is a Stingray torpedo in the hangar of HMS Duncan, an air defence destroyer. It's recently returned from operations in the Eastern Mediterranean. But today, on this Royal Navy vessel, it's not about war fighting, but it's about commemoration as we march towards 80 years since VE Day. So HMS Duncan has been hosting a street party on the deck here in Portsmouth. Earlier, we spoke to Commander Dan Lee about why he thought this was such an important occasion for the country.
So VE Day was a culmination of the end of, or the beginning of the end of World War II. It was a time that was a truly national endeavour, whether that be people digging for victory, people in new roles in fields and factories, people supporting at home, children evacuated, and it was such a huge national event. It is something that we should really celebrate, that it was coming to an end. With that, with the number of veterans who are sadly reducing in numbers, today's a real opportunity. We're really happy to have a number of the local school children and Royal Navy cadets here, so we can tell the story of World War II, why it was important, and what we fought for.
And earlier we spoke with Ross Kemp, who's been a key part of promoting the VE Day commemoration, about how the entirety of the United Kingdom should come together on the 5th of May, on that bank holiday weekend, to celebrate our fallen heroes.
It's very easy to forget that the freedoms that we enjoy in this country came at a price. And the veterans that are still alive, they won't be alive sadly in 10 years' time, so 80 is a big benchmark. And I think we should let them know that we appreciate the sacrifices that they and their colleagues made for us to enjoy the freedoms that we have.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're going back in time now. We're going back to my youth when I was 14, and Paul Coit joins us now in the studio as well for the same sort of
I wasn't
reasons.
born, obviously, at that time.
Yeah. But I was. This was the height of my teenage years, and Slade were my band. That were my band.
Were you still in short trousers then?
But with platform shoes, Noddy.
Yeah. Not a good look, though. Short trousers, platform shoes.
Noddy Holder joins us, and there's good news because the film is 50 years old, Flame, Slade and Flame, and it's going to be re-released in a cinema near you, and it's all remastered and lots of things. Here's a brief taster.
Somebody wants to make us rich and famous. How do you fancy being a roadie?
With the right management, we can turn the group into a success.
We're just going to make you stand out. It's all a matter of packaging. I'm not bloody fish finger.
Well, there you are. It has that feel to it, that 1970s thing. The Citizen Kane of British pop, goodness me. What can you say about it? Has it lasted time? It was Slade in Flame.
Yeah.
Was it about Slade?
No, it was an amalgamation of lots of bands that we knew. The director and the writer, Richard Longcrane and Andrew Birkin, they sent us the script as a script originally, and we said, oh, bands don't behave like this in real life. So we decided to take them to America on tour for a month. So they saw what it was like really behind the scenes of a rock band. And we told them stories of what we knew about other bands, plus ourselves, and they amalgamated that into the film. So every scene in the film is true, not to say...
result?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Mind you, when it came out in '75, the critics were great to it, but the fans didn't like it. It was too heavy duty for the fans because it wasn't a comedy film like they expected from a happy-go-lucky band like we were.
But you did that on purpose, though, didn't you?
We did it on purpose.
To make a
we
film
didn't
like
want to
all
make
the
it.
other. Dave Clark 5 had done Catch Us If You Can, Hard Day's
Oh,
Night.
that was all that. Yeah.
They were all
there were lots out there. We wanted to go totally the other way because nobody expected us to do that.
Yeah.
Of course, the fans thought, whoa, what's this?
But were you worried, though, at that time? Because
of course.
Well, hold on, maybe we've made a mistake here.
Of course. When it came out in America, they had to put the subtitles on.
Oh, really?
Because they couldn't understand our accents. But 50 years on now, it's just gained momentum.
Yeah.
It's now become a real classic of the rock movie genre. It's Mark Kermode who gave it the title Citizen Kane of rock movies, which is a great accolade for us. Plus, the movie is great. The movie soundtrack is great as well. It's probably one of the best albums we did for the soundtrack.
And what was it like for you getting your teeth stuck into acting? Because the critics
We never
loved you.
acted.
That wasn't acting?
No, we'd never acted before.
Wow.
When they saw us out on the road, when they came with us out on the road, all our characters in the film are basically our personalities. So they wrote the script so we could cope with that.
So the pigeons, going to the pigeon loft?
All that. I had to learn how to handle pigeons.
Did you really?
I had to learn how to play the spoons, because I play the spoons in one scene.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to balance and juggle crockery, because there's a scene on a market where I sell crockery on a barra boy on a market and I'm juggling crockery. So I had to learn all that. But learning lines was awkward. The thing we didn't realise as a band, we thought, oh, this will be a piece of cake. We had to get up first at 6 in the morning, which was alien to us, be on the set at 7, and we didn't realise you do a master shot, but then they have to reset the lights and the cameras to do your close-ups. So you have to do it all again, but exactly as you did in the master shot, so everything could be edited together. We didn't realise any of this.
Why don't they just get 2 cameras and then a close-up and a wide?
No, it was all like that. The technical side, we didn't know.
What was the story of Flame? Why was it called Flame?
Well, the band became named Flame, that's why. But it was how a band grows up in a nitty-gritty council estate, becomes famous, and how fame affects that band, how the egos rise to the surface, how money rises to the surface, having a lot of money. But you are controlled by the corporates, the management. Tom Conti, it was his first major movie, you saw in the clip there. He takes us over, his company takes us over. Al of the line, we're not fish fingers, we don't want to be marketed like fish fingers. And he says, well, I know nothing about music, but I know how to sell stuff. And I remember probably 20, 30 years ago, Simon Cowell saying that when Simon Cowell first became a mogul on TV and the record company. He said the same thing. I'm not a big expert on music, but I know how to sell it.
Did you feel like that, though? Did the band feel like that? When you, as big as you were, and we mentioned this, you know, you sold more records than any other band in the 70s. Huge. But did you feel as if, hold on, we now feel as if we were
lucky. We had a manager who'd already been through the mill.
Chas Chandler.
Chas Chandler. He'd been in a band, The Animals, famous band all over the world. He discovered, managed and produced Jimi Hendrix, most famous guitarist that ever lived, really. So he'd seen it from being in a band, managing and producing an artist already. We had the benefit of that. So we were lucky. But of course, you always have to play the corporate system with record companies and everything, of course.
Along with Slade, favourite music, Dolly Parton. I love and adore Dolly Parton.
I love Dolly.
Everything she does, says, speaks, writes, everything. Just amazing. Now, your wife, Susan, who's a friend of this show, she was out in Nashville and you went with her to promote her latest book on Dolly. And that was all fine. All great. And then it all went horribly wrong. I mean, horribly, because Susan linked via satellite on to our programme to talk about living through tornadoes in Nashville and the area. How bad was it?
It was bad. Even the locals were saying it was really bad. Normally you'll have 1 or 2 tornadoes hit around the state, but there was 14 touched down in all the neighbouring states. Western Nashville, Memphis, New Orleans, they were totally underwater. Selma in Alabama was totally razed to the ground by the tornadoes.
Was it scary for you?
It was very scary, especially when you got the sirens going off in the city. It sounded like bombers coming over in the war. You know, the whole city was all these sirens going off. So they moved you to the basement of the hotel in case the windows cave in. And that happened quite a few times. It was worrying, but it was a new experience. For all the time I've been to America dozens of times, I lived there for 2-3 years, and it was the first time I'd experienced this. I'd experienced bad weather. I've been in bad plane journeys where once we had to circle New York for 2 hours because there were storms and we couldn't land. We had the wheels wouldn't come down on a plane in San Francisco. We've had some bad experiences, you know, touring. But this was frightening because you're in the middle of it and you can't get out. There's no way out. But we had good sunny days as well. But it was different, but it didn't stop the bars in Nashville. All the bars kept going. All the music was playing 24/7 with bands. It didn't stop that. They kept going.
Almost as scary as about 20,000 teenagers banging on the door, right? Almost as scary as that.
Well, yes, that's true.
Back in 1973.
That used to be scary as well, getting in and out of places. I remember the cops getting us in and out of venues back in the day. Particularly Glasgow once, the cops got a van up to the stage door. We had to get in this van because we couldn't get to the hotel. It was surrounded by kids. and we sat on the banks of the Clyde in the cop van with the cops eating fish and chips for an hour till we could clear a way in.
And Noddy, do you still perform? Do you still sing?
I don't very often now. I do perform occasionally with a 10-piece jazz boogie-woogie band. I do like a 2-hour show with them. Not very often. But most of the show is telling stories, and there's lots of music in it. All these lads, well, there's ladies in the band as well, which I was told off once by members of the band for saying the boys in the band, when we had got a young lady in the band also. But it's a great show, and it's different for me. It's a totally different thing. But they're all under 30, these musicians. Yeah. So they haven't got a clue what I'm talking about half the time, some of the stories I tell.
You are a great storyteller, though, Noddy. It's been so good to talk to you today.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Slade and Film is out on Friday in cinemas.
Cinemas all around the country.
Yeah.
Go and see it. Thank you. Delighted to meet you, my friend.
Thank you.
Noddy. Now, some breaking news in the past few minutes that a huge fire has engulfed an electrical substation in London. Smoke is billowing from that fire into the sky as we speak. It's in the Maida Vale part of northwest London. 2 fire engines as well as 10 firefighters are at the scene. They're tackling the fire as we speak. People that are living nearby are advised to keep their windows shut. It started at around 5:30 this morning. We'll bring you any updates on that throughout the programme here on GB News. Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M8 eastbound, there is a broken down vehicle at junction 27. Drivers should proceed with caution and expect additional journey time. In South Wales, the M4 westbound at junction 38 near Margam is undergoing planned maintenance, resulting in the closure of the exit slip road and hard shoulder with diversions in place. In the Greater London area, a road traffic collision has occurred on the M4 eastbound between junction 4 and junction 3. 1 lane out of 4 is closed, leading to congestion. Drivers are advised to allow extra travel time. For more information and updates, please stay up to date at gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Well, now we'll get Paul from his music role to his sporting knowledge role. Great guy, Noddy Holder, isn't he?
He is. And you know what was most exciting? And as weird as this is, I think they've got the biggest kick from seeing Noddy, and the first thing he says to me is, cool, your tea didn't do very well at the weekend. So I'm like, Noddy,
and he looks well on it. He's nearly 80, isn't he?
Yeah, he's looking very good. Very good.
Brilliant.
And the film is terrific. So if you get the chance to see Slade in Flame.
Are you going to go to the cinema and see it on Friday, remastered?
I will, because I've seen it, the old version, and now it's all been cleaned up and remastered. Absolutely, I'm going to go and see it. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't go to the cinema anymore. You know, where they have disabled spots and whatever it is, but the disabled spots are like, there's the screen and there's you. You know, so you're looking
you'll
like
be
that.
too close.
So there's no where to sit. Really.
That's annoying.
That's very annoying. Anyway, my friend, are Arsenal going to be annoyed tonight? PSG, and they're at their Emirates.
It's going to be hard for Arsenal.
Of course it is.
Then again, it may even be harder for PSG, because let's not forget that Arsenal put out Real Madrid brilliantly as well.
Yes.
May I say, in the last round. It's the semi-final of the Champions League, so Paris Saint-Germain come to North London. First leg is at home then for Arsenal, and then they'll head to Paris next week. We were talking about that. Only 2,000 tickets. Eric Bielderman, our French friend for L'Equipe in Paris, saying about, well, you know, that is normal. That is what you expect. But 2,000 tickets for away fans is not a lot.
No.
You know, it's 5%. 5% can go to away fans, and they're saying due to police restrictions or whatever, they're limiting it. So that doesn't sound very fair. But anyway, they need to get a good lead before they go to Paris.
Yeah.
So that's tonight. Leeds, top of the Championship.
They're playing as if they are in the Champions League.
They really are.
They're doing very well.
They really are, absolutely.
But Burnley are doing very well as well. So, you know, fair play. And Scott Parker. At Burnley, lovely fella, great manager. Yep. Whoa. Do you think it matters who wins the title?
See, I think it's just the cream. It's just a cherry on top of the cake, isn't it? To win the title.
Promotion's the important
thing.
It's
about promotion. But you know what? When it comes to Leeds, the weird thing for me is Daniel Farke, who is the manager of Leeds, there's talk that he will get the boot because they want another manager to go into the Premier League, which I think is nonsense.
Well, Farke's he's managed in the Premier League before as well. He did a good job at Norwich. That came to an end. Yeah. But he's done a superb job at Leeds. I just think to myself, so who are you going to get? I mean, Man United have been down this road. So you get rid of him. Yeah. Who do you get? How do you know they're any better? I think the big surprise in this has been Arne Slot at Liverpool.
Absolutely.
So there's all these names, people you hadn't have heard of, Ten Hag and various other people. And Slot comes along and you think, this guy is actually good, he's really good.
Yeah, because it's all very well winning a title in Holland, in the Eredivisie, or anywhere else. Premier League is a different animal. But when it comes to Daniel Farke, he's got experience there. What do? Do they get rid of him? What they want is someone that's won the Premier League, someone with Premier League experience. He's got that. I just think it would be a mistake, and I think it would be unfair and to make him a victim of his own success. I think that would be wrong. Finally, in Madrid.
Yes.
In Madrid. Now, the Madrid Open, we know what's been happening with the power in Europe, and it did affect the Madrid Open. Now, there was
the lights went out, did they?
Well, the lights went out, and it was all a bit... I'm going to see if you can guess. There's an interview with Coco Gauff, and see if you can spot when the power went out. Have a look at this. It's not easy. Here we go. Coco Gauff.
I had avocado toast, and what else did I... Oh, fruit. So that was pretty much it. It was an early start. I didn't sleep that well last night, so maybe I just need to, not get a lot of sleep.
Right, can you guess where the power went out? She's now
Oh, she's fully lit.
Can nobody hear me? Well, it's during the day.
Well,
That's
sound's
why
gone,
she's
yeah.
fully lit, because the sun's out.
Oh, so the electricity went off and cut the sound?
Yes.
It didn't cut the lights. Well, you're misleading me. You're telling me the lights are going
That's
up.
absolutely not true. The lights were up, but it was actually during the day, the interview.
Right.
All
So
the boards went off around it, all the
But
advertising
there is
boards.
other bits where you can see them people walking around and then all the lights are out because there are people that are indoors and we're all having to be let out. So, yeah, everything went off. And so, there you go.
You're off now as well.
I know. Is that it?
You're off.
Now?
Thank you very much.
Disappointed you with that one. I apologise.
Thanks, Mr. Paul. Thank you. David Wooding, Anna Firth, they're going through the papers for you, and they're doing that next.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst it's sunny and warm in the UK, it's very windy in Greece at the moment. It stays windy on Wednesday, showers in Cyprus, and also a spell of rain moving through Portugal, heading into Spain. That's going to be fairly heavy with gusty winds. Dry ahead of it for Barcelona, and for Italy, a pleasant day to come on Wednesday, but we keep the strong winds through the Greek islands and this area of showers and thunderstorms moving into Cyprus. It all settles down much more later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
Questions include, do you relax in a drawing room or lounge? I think the answer's obvious there. Do you have a big flat screen TV? Yeah, I do actually. And who did you cheer on in the boat race? Easy, Oxford, albeit unsuccessfully. That gives you an idea of where I stand, but let's quiz my panel, who will get points. And we all know that points make prizes. So, Lloyd, is it called a drawing room or a lounge?
A lounge.
A lounge. Tim, drawing room or a lounge?
Sitting room.
It's called a sitting room. So, well, I actually call it a winter parlour in Somerset. So none of us get any points for calling it a drawing room. There's always an agreeable chill in my home. Tim, true or false?
Of your home, yes.
No, of yours. You've been to stay.
This is a very interesting one, and actually, yes, I think it's true.
Okay.
I think in my house it is true, because I've got wooden windows.
You've got 5 points. You're getting quite posh. Lloyd?
True, my office manager used to have to wear a coat when he came round to my house.
All right, following on with Lloyd, scrambled eggs are strictly for breakfast.
Oh, no, false.
False, you get another 5 points for that. You are quite posh. I get points for that as well, actually. Tim? Scrambled eggs?
No, not just for breakfast.
Not just for breakfast. We're a very posh team.
So it's not posh to think...
All right, I don't have a downstairs loo, Lloyd.
Well, I don't at the moment because it's under refurbishment.
But under normal circumstances?
Under normal circumstances, yes.
All right, so that gets you no points on that one. Tim?
Fans of Are You Being Served will know that the test for being low middle class is having a downstairs loo and being within walking distance of a mainline station, and I have both.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We've got a lot of stories to talk about in the papers here, and I was just talking to David Wooding, and we've got Anna Firth here as well. And the first thing we're going to talk about is dogs and dogs roaming streets. And David and I are of an age where, when we were growing up, dogs on the streets running wild was natural. It was the way it was. And I always never ceased to amaze me. Why did dogs run after car wheels? You know, car would go by and they would want to bite the wheel off the car and be killed doing it. Why did they do that?
I remember as a youngster, when I had my first car, an old wreck, aged 17 or 18, and driving around and often being chased by dogs in certain parts.
And the dog probably getting better off you at that stage. The story today, though, David, in the papers, is that the thing that irks people most of all are those, and it irks me, who don't pick up their dog poo at all. It annoys 97% of people.
Yes, and I must stress always, it's the owner and not the dog, which is normally to blame. I mean, I don't have dogs, but my daughter has 2. And sometimes we dog sit for her, you know, for an afternoon, and I take the dogs out for a walk in the park. I always take with me about a dozen of these little plastic bags. And, you know, it always annoys me and irks me when I see excrement on the parapet, because, you know, it's illegal.
It's illegal, and it's easily dealt with. Anna, one of the things, do you have dogs?
I do.
Yeah.
Lottie, yes.
Oh,
my
of course,
little
Lottie.
cabochon. Yeah.
But the thing is, the bags that David's talking about, you know, it's one thing getting the bags. It's another thing then, those who tie it up in the bags and then throw the bags on trees. Have you seen that?
Oh, that is...
They hang like a Christmas tree.
That is the thing I hate the most, when you go to a lovely wood, a lovely park, and then you see all those bags.
Which is going to last for years and years and years.
Exactly. I mean, that is... Yes, OK, maybe they've got it out of the way of a child. That's a good thing. But putting it there, it's a health hazard, it's an eyesore. Yeah, no, that's one of my bugbears.
Yeah.
And the other thing that irritates people is litter in general. And it may seem a somewhat old-fashioned thing to object to litter being thrown around. It just never ceases to amaze me why people do it, why certain people do it.
We should pick up young people. I mean, a lot of it is breeding. I mean, I was always taught not to litter, take your litter home. I did the same with my children. I never see my children now as adults throwing litter.
Of course they don't.
And
their kids won't do it either.
No, and these people who throw litter have never been taught not to do it.
I can't stand these people who eat pizzas and takeaways. Especially, we see this at football matches. They eat whatever, and then they just toss it aside. That's it. Just
take it and find a bin.
And you know, I always talk about Leon Sea and our lovely beaches. People who come to our lovely beaches and they're welcome, but their litter is not welcome. And they just leave their litter on the beach. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
At the risk of angering ourselves even more, the other ones I must add are coughing and sneezing. I sat next to somebody on a train coming back from Liverpool the whole 2.5 hours of the journey. He was coughing and sneezing, and I couldn't move anywhere because the train was packed.
But what can he do? What can he do?
Stop coughing or or take something.
Just go and die.
Yeah. The other one is spitting, playing loud music. Loud chatting on the phone.
Yeah,
why do you need to chat on the phone on a train? What about
put your headphones in or a text message?
The new craze is people always speaking on their phone now and not putting their phone to their ear any longer.
Loudspeaker,
I mean, why do we all want to hear everyone else's conversation?
Well, I have a name for people like that, and I can't really say it here on the programme. But usually with me, it's getting on aeroplanes, or you say, or trains or whatever, and it's, well, I'll be there at 3:45. Yeah, what are you going to do? And they're queuing to find their seat. And this goes on. Yeah, no, I'm on a plane at the moment. Yeah. And you just want to smack them. Basically.
I think you want to snatch that. I think people, air hostesses in particular, should be given permission to snatch and confiscate that phone.
Yeah.
Give us all a break.
The other phone habit, which is again on this list, is when they're walking in a busy thoroughfare. And they suddenly stop to read their phone, or they're walking really slowly because they're trying to text while walking, and they bump into you and causing all sorts of chaos.
All very annoying.
Can I talk? While we're talking about dogs, can I bring up a very important debate that took place yesterday in Parliament to ban using dogs?
Experimentation.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it will surprise everyone to know that we are still experimenting every single year on nearly 3 million.
What
live
gets me is
animals.
it's one of the best kept secrets, and those who do highlight it, and the centres where this is carried out, and the yelping of the dogs that goes on and whatever. It really, I think we've got to a stage in life where we can use other means, other ways of testing for these things.
That is exactly the point, Eamonn. We now have ways in which we can use live human cells, human-specific research it's called, which is so much more effective. I mean, these 3 million experiments, of which we have 2,500 every year on dogs are used for 4,000 experiments. The failure rate of these experiments is over 90%. It's disgusting.
What's the point?
Exactly.
Animals suffering.
Bad science.
I'll tell you what the real pain for this one is with me. There are no more loving creatures in the world than dogs, right? They give you a love that you will never experience from a human being on this. And the betrayal, I think, involved in that, in accepting them, and they're trusting you. They're trusting you. They're being led by you to this experimental centre and whatever it is. I just think it's immoral, to say the least, and it should definitely be stopped.
It's completely immoral. It's high time it was stopped, and this government actually committed in its manifesto to phasing this out. So this is one thing that I really hope this government is going to keep its promise on.
Well, let's hope so, because I think so many people will be shocked that this is even still happening. And as Eamonn was saying, it's actually beagles that they test on in this country, and it's because they're some of the most trusting of dog breeds.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just so cruel, isn't it?
We're using AI so often now, at the detriment of people's jobs and livelihoods, and yet we're not using it for issues where we could deploy it and it would be useful to deploy it.
David, talk to us about midlife bulge. I can testify for this myself. There's times in life when you put on weight, and then there's times where this bulge comes along, and it doesn't matter what you do, it is there and it grows. And experts think they know what is causing this.
Yes, so it is nothing down to diet and exercise, apparently. And, you know, everybody, when they hit 50, starts to develop a bit of a tum and cuts down on food and goes to the gym, and it doesn't seem to go. Well, the reason is a new ageing trigger, which has been discovered in a study by research teams in Los Angeles and Nigeria, which shows the arrival of a new type of adult stem cell, which enhances the body's massive production of new fat cells, especially around the tummy. It seems that, in simple terms, your muscle turns to fat, and it's particularly around the midriff, and there's not really very much you can do about it. So.
Oh no! Well, you know, there's only 3 of us on this panel that this applies to. So it's sort of nice, isn't it, to know that we've got an excuse. But I don't accept that there isn't anything we can do, because I actually think it's all about being healthy. And I actually think the more we move, particularly as we get older, the less likely we are then to be falling over and suffering the sort of things that are going to make us really incapacitated in older age. So I don't accept that there's nothing we can do. I think we have to battle the bulge.
Where I've found the difference, Anna, is that being now confined to a wheelchair, I can't move. And I have noticed the build-up of this bulge. It's happening, and it happens around the middle. And that plus medication, it's a very, very frustrating position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, there are counter factors, of course, in everything. If, for instance, you drink 8 pints of beer a night, then you're going to develop a tummy. And if you're not moving around as much as you should do, then that's going to have an impact.
Well, maybe this research is going to actually develop, you know, a counter cell that will stop these cells changing from muscle into fat. That's what we need.
And if someone said to you, experimenting on a dog, we could find the answer to this and change this, that still wouldn't provide justification.
No, I would say, Eamonn, that we should experiment on ourselves. If we want to find the answer to this, then we should experiment on ourselves. So dogs and animals are not there for our entertainment, gratification, or to be used. It's save in perhaps the most exceptional circumstances.
Hear, hear. With that, Anna, lovely talking to you again. Thank you for coming in. David, always a pleasure. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. We go to Aidan McGivern. It's going to be a good rest of the week. Aidan, good morning.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout, and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait to see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 6, 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, and even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Greater London, a collision on the M4 eastbound between junctions 4 and 3 has one of 4 lanes closed, causing 10-minute delays. Expect normal traffic by 9:15. In Surrey, road management on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 9 and junction 8 has 1 lane closed, causing 10-minute delays. Normal conditions are predicted by 9:30. In Middlesbrough, a broken-down vehicle on the A174 westbound between the junctions with the A1032 and the A19 has resulted in 1 lane closure. 30-minute delays with expected resolution by 10:15. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Net Zero is blamed for the mass power outage in Europe.
Spanish and Portuguese authorities have scrambled to restore electricity for millions of people. Question is, will the continent's biggest power outage ever make governments reconsider the science behind green energy, because it may be to blame?
Breaking news out of Canada this morning as Liberal leader Mark Carney declares victory.
Question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
Migrants convicted of sex offences will no longer be entitled to seek asylum in the United Kingdom. But why has it taken until now for the law to change?
A record number of small boat arrivals as channel crossings swell to 10,000 since the start of the year.
The pressure piles on Labour to launch a national inquiry into the child rape gangs as a Labour Lord and Reform leader Nigel Farage team up in the pursuit of justice. We spoke to the Shadow Home Office Minister Matt Vickers about this earlier.
This is a huge issue across the country. We've heard more than 50 towns affected. We need to do whatever it takes to drag the government to having that national inquiry so that these victims can get justice.
A Reform leader and a Labour peer lining up to put pressure on Sir Keir Starmer. But the government continue to insist they are doing everything to root out these vile crimes.
And towards the end of the programme this morning, an interview with a decluttering expert. Would you love someone in to make your home tidy? How much stuff do you have that you don't actually need?
The classic rock film Slade in Flame is back in cinemas this Friday. Noddy Holder has been telling us more.
And we told them stories of what we knew about other bands, plus ourselves, and they amalgamated that into the film.
If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for today and tomorrow and for the first day of May. Temperatures are rising each day. I'll have the full details in the forecast coming up soon.
Hello there, good morning to you. The time, 2 minutes now past 9 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Just showed a bit of Noddy there, Noddy Holder, and great reaction from you. A lot of you really delighted to see him this morning.
Yes, Kathy says, please ask Noddy to do more concerts. I missed them in the 70s, but they were just fantastic. More Slade, please.
Mike says, I love Noddy. My first single I ever bought was Mama, We're All Crazy Now. Incredible, I understand all the words when he sings, but funny enough, nothing when he talks.
Angelina says, Noddy Holder, what a gem.
Absolutely, we'll echo that. A gentleman, absolutely great to have him in the studio this morning. Politics to begin with this morning, and the top Labour peer, Maurice Glasman, has joined forces with Nigel Farage, and they are backing a bill in Parliament, a parliamentary bill, to investigate child abuse gangs.
Well, while several Conservative frontbenchers have demanded a national inquiry, GB News understands that some Labour MPs have also privately pledged their support.
Well, we've got our national reporter, Charlie Peters, the man who's all across this one. This is a new development. How significant could this be?
Well, Eamonn and Ellie, I think the top line that you have the head of the Reform Party sort of standing side by side here with Maurice Glasman, an influential Labour peer from the Blue Labour group, a traditional, more working-class movement, typically aligned with those so-called Red Wall seats in the north of England. That's the most significant part of this development, because you're seeing here now a bit more pressure from within the Labour camp onto Sir Keir Starmer and the government's position on these abuse gangs. And also, significantly, we have heard from other senior Labour figures that they wanted to get behind publicly and support this bill, but the timing didn't work with upcoming elections this week. So that caused some nervousness and hesitation among those in the party. However, we've also heard some comments from Katie Lamb and also Chris Philp, shadow frontbench ministers, both saying that they're supporting an amendment to the Crime and Justice Bill to have an inquiry, but they'll get behind any effort to push this forward. And what's unique about this bill, as you heard from Lawrence Newport earlier in the programme, it's being led by a campaigner and a campaign group called Crush Crime, because they've seen these developments in January, so many arguments about so many different inquiries. Will we have 5 local reviews? Will we have a national inquiry? The former Reform MP, Rupert Lowe, launching his own effort to have an inquiry without statutory powers, which gathers information, and now this other element coming forward as well. So there's certainly a lot of noise, but what cuts through on this one, I think, is that element of the leader of Reform, and you'd understand that the rest of the Reform Party be backing this, and also that Labour peer, a very significant figure within the party, which we understand, he has the ear of several people at the top of the Labour leadership, because they recognise perhaps the need to change the party to get it back in touch with working class communities, Eamonn, that have been horribly affected by this scandal.
Do you get a sense, Charlie, that the tide could be turning on this now, especially when you've got Labour MPs who are giving their support in private, could potentially go public with it after the local elections this week? But then we've had it time and time again, haven't we, where we've spoken to government on the government rounds, where they say we've already had this national inquiry, the ICSA inquiry that lasted for 7 years. They say, why would we go over old ground?
But the problem that campaigners have with that 7-year inquiry is that it only looked at 6 areas for just a very limited 2-week review into abuse gangs and networks of exploitation. And those 6 areas didn't have the typical pattern associated with this form of abuse. So many people saw that as a key opportunity to get to the bottom of this that was missed. And so in Parliament in January, Nigel Farage described it as a scattershot, and that campaigners now want a rifle shot. The government continues to insist that they've done everything on that national level. However, there is this 3-month rapid audit from Baroness Louise Casey, which is expected to return next month. Home Office sources telling us that it'll come hopefully before the middle of the month. And yesterday, the Safeguarding Minister, Jess Phillips, said she was committed to publishing it. That information could reveal more widespread crises across the country with this issue. Maybe it might reveal, as we've had so many times, a lack of data, particularly on ethnicity, being gathered by police forces. Yeah. And I think that could reopen the debate. But this is going on all the time. This issue, as you said, Ellie, isn't going away for Labour. Their position is that they're going to have local inquiries, possibly more than 5, but they'll also be funding locally led work. What that could mean, we're not entirely sure, but they will have £5 million to fund it. Yesterday also, the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, in Parliament, referring to the case of John Pecos, a former Bradford police officer who spoke to us last month, who said that he was threatened with arrest for dealing with this. And Chris Philp made the point in Parliament
Leave it alone, let it go away.
Well, he said that Bradford doesn't want an inquiry, and Bradford actually council they didn't respond to our request for comment on that issue. So perhaps this development will be another step forward in pressuring that public inquiry.
I think, Ellie, the point that you made there, they've looked into things, there's been a certain inquiry, whatever it is. I think people have got to look at those people who have been affected by this, whose lives have been ruined by this, and the people in position of authority for local councils, for police forces, for foster services, for whatever it happened to be, and they fail to act. They fail to act. Now, they've either got to be replaced, punished, or we learn from that in some way. But you just cannot say, these men, these horrible rapists, they affected so many children's lives, and, well, there we go. We'll let that pass and we move on with something else. Something has got to be done. There's got to be a line in the sand, and people have got to be brought to account for this. That's my view, that's my personal view, but I often think it's an honest view, and I believe in doing the right thing, and the right thing would be to get to the bottom of this and to prosecute and to make sure these men, these vile, horrible, evil men cannot continue in the practices that they have been practicing, ruining children's lives. And those children become adults, and those adults have children, and it ruins their lives as adults, and it ruins their children's lives, and it's just terrible to think of. Charlie, thank you for your good work. Good luck. Remember, this man is up for an award at the Television Radio Industry Club in the summer. Go for the QR code there on their website and vote for Charlie Peters for the work he's doing on this front.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks both. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, on this, a government spokesperson has said the grooming scandal was one of the greatest failures in our country's history, with vulnerable young people let down time and again. We fully support police investigations and independent inquiries to get answers.
Right. Let's go to the Great British Giveaway. It can be yours. It's a beautiful prize collectively worth £72,000. Here's how you can win it.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, can a tidy space lead to a happier headspace? We're going to be speaking to a decluttering expert.
So that makes me happy just looking at that.
About the next, I love organisation.
But you see, the point is, if I took anything out of there, I'd worry that I put it back in the wrong place.
Oh, no, you couldn't, because everything has a space, you see. You wouldn't get confused.
Oh.
It would be good.
Very, very nice. Back talking about that. Eamonn and Ellie here with breakfast on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
On Thursday, the 1st of May, voters across England go to the polls.
In a series of council elections.
Mayoral elections and one crucial by-election.
They'll vote on the local issues that matter to them and let the parties know where they stand.
We'll be here throughout the night.
Live around the country.
As the first results come in.
And from 6 a.m. on Friday morning, as it all becomes clearer,
we'll be here to discuss what it means for you.
Vote 2025, the people decide, from 11 p.m. on Thursday.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
We're having a discussion here in studio about what makes you happy, and we think that cleanliness makes you happy, and order, and that we have.
Yeah.
I think at home I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have things that maybe I necessarily need.
Yeah, and a cluttered space is a cluttered mind, isn't it?
Yes, it could well be. And Beverly Turner's here in the studio, and she was expressing her thoughts on it as well. And are you a tidy person?
I want to be.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. I think if your life... we've moved out of the house at the moment because we renovated, we're renting somewhere, and that has forced me to do a massive declutter. And I had my sister-in-law came round and she went, right, I'm going to help you with it. And she went, you've got a pile for the skip, a pile for the charity shop, and a pile that you can keep. And she went full Stacey Solomon on me in the garden.
Yeah.
And it was so helpful.
Ah, that's a good order. So the skip, the charity shop and keep.
Yeah.
And how big were the piles, Bev?
The skip was bigger than it would have been if Abby had not been there making me say, you don't need 4 picnic baskets. And I said, but in my head, I'm the kind of woman that goes out and does picnics with a picnic basket. She said, how often have you used them? I've never used them. Well, they go into the charity shop. And so it was really cathartic to clear everything out.
So it can affect your mood, it can affect harmony in your life, and it can affect how you get on with the rest of your family. It gives you decent headspace as well. So we're joined now by decluttering expert. Yes, here is a woman I need in my life. Nicola Lewis, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're hearing what we're saying about it there, and I think what we find is, as we all get older, we realise maybe you strive to get things in your life and collect things and add things to your life, and then you realise, I don't need anything, or why do I really need all this?
Well, I'm a great believer of less is more, if I'm honest with you. But how wonderful is it to walk into your home, or I like to call it walk into your nest, and it just be calm, tidy, and happy. I mean, it's just all the things that we really love and adore, really. So that's the whole mission, really, of me setting up my business 8 years ago, was to kind of give that to the people and show them that, you know, we don't need all this stuff to lead a clean and happy life.
And Nicola, I don't know about you, but I find clutter really stressful. If I go into a room and it's messy, I feel stressed. I feel really overwhelmed just by looking at it. So decluttering must just make you feel so good about yourself, lifts your entire mood.
Well, I'm here for it completely, and it's been part of my lifestyle, I suppose, ever since I was growing up. I learnt from my parents and my grandma, and it's all I've ever known, and it's actually enabled me to, I guess, focus on the big stuff, the things that I enjoy in life. If my home is tidy, I can then go and have fun with friends and family. I can put more effort into work. You know, all of those things, it just clears my mindset. So I feel like it's just an amazing life skill to have for everybody.
Nicola,
really.
I would be a challenge for you. I'm in agreement with you, don't get me wrong, but certain times I can look and I can just go, I can't do this. And part of it's to do with what I do for a living. I'm a journalist. Collecting information is important, and I look and I say, oh, I'll keep that newspaper, I need that article in that, and I'll rip this and I'll do that, and I save things. And I also have this working class mentality that I think I've worked very hard to earn the money to buy that particular vase or piece of furniture, whatever it is, why would I throw it out? I need to accumulate that and show that to people. And I'm Eamonn, and this is what I've done in life, and I've got these things. How do you save me from myself?
Well, I'm with you there, Eamonn. I'm from a working class background myself, and I always say it's so important to keep the things you love. You don't need to declutter everything, okay? Just either display the things you love, or if you've got special things, maybe store them into trunks or into spaces that you've got the room for. You know, it's important to keep those core memories alive and valued in safe spaces. So you can definitely store some of those scripts and special things. You know, as long as you've got the room for them, that's all I say.
The nicest thing is then when I look at Nicola's wardrobes there, what we've just seen there, clothes. I mean, in Ellie's life, in my life, in Beverly's life, clothes are very important, what we do. And we've got to buy clothes you don't necessarily want or need, but you sort of never know when they're going to come in handy. So there's a lot of clothes. Do you not find that?
Yeah, clothes would be my biggest issue.
And I'm looking at Nicola's wardrobe there and I'm thinking, oh, the jumpers are in colour-coded, everything's done very... And really...
I do colour code my dresses.
Do you?
For work, yeah.
But then when you take one out, do you put that colour back in the same place again? You're good at that?
Yeah, I do like colour coding. That really helps, doesn't it, Nicola? What would your top tips be for people who want to declutter?
I guess also I just wanted to say on that, Tap, that everyone organises in such a different, unique way. You know, we must remember that it's not just one type. You know, you can organise by colour, you can organise by, you know, the fact that you can put things into different sections. And the research from Shark Ninja that, you know, there's 88% of people absolutely adore this whole clean, organised, simplified life. And we're all kind of doing it really to fit our own needs in our own homes. So I think it's so important to get some inspiration from socials or magazines, but also do what feels right in your space.
Are you the sort of person, I mean, can you hire you, for instance? Can you go in and can you sort out everything from underwear to overcoats?
Yes. So I've had a business for 8 years called This Girl Can Organise, and I've worked in over 400 homes. I have worked all up and down the country and I adore it. I enjoy helping people solve solutions that they find either extremely overwhelming or the fact that they just don't have the time for. And let's face it, time is, you know, of the essence these days. We're so busy, hustling, working hard, navigating through life that, you know, we want the tools to make our life so much easier, to help us. And I love giving back, actually. I really enjoy helping those.
You love it.
You know,
and I'm facing a point in my life where I've moved house and I've got 3 storage units. I've got full up of stuff, and I'm thinking, how do you reintroduce all that rubbish back into your life again? That's a story.
It's like a new era, though, don't you find that you look at some things? Yeah, I mean, I often say to some clients, if there's certain things that you're keeping it just for sentimental reasons, maybe just take a photo of it and let it go, because it's holding you back. Sometimes we need to let go of certain things in order to move forward.
Like, quickly and briefly, because I've got to talk to my colleagues here in the studio, but I mean, could I really put into practice what you've just said as regards my football memorabilia? Could I really go and look at the posters and the statues and the things that I have? I'm thinking, well, I couldn't do. I'm getting
anxious talking about it. Yeah.
Talking about it now. How could I get rid of all stuff from the 1990s?
Well, they obviously bring you joy, so I hope that you would have some of them out as display to kind of give you that feeling of, you know, that this is what you've accomplished. But it is part of your history, and that, again, that is really important. But do you need to display absolutely everything from that time?
Look,
you know,
I'm getting uncluttered with you as well here. And I've got to go because I've got Beverly and Andrew to talk to. But fascinating talking to you, Nicola. I could talk to you all day. We've got to leave it there.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Andrew Pearce and Beverly Turner are here because Britain's newsroom is coming up at 9:30. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
Morning. We're reflecting, two big stories. Europe, the blackout. We've got Ben Leo there. I think you've spoken to Ben this morning. What does that mean? Could it happen here? And also, this victory for Mark Carney in Canada.
Yeah.
That is
Massive.
basically
Remarkable.
That was
Huge
Trump.
rebuff for Trump.
Yeah, it's a kick in the, proverbial
Really is.
teeth.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, you nurse those.
Anyway.
We'll have a look at the weather, and thanks. See you at 9:30.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another beautiful start to the day. Dry for most of us, widespread sunshine continuing throughout, and very warm. If you thought yesterday was warm, wait till you see what's in store for the next few days. Temperatures are rising day by day. Although it's a fresh start this morning, actually it's going to warm up very quickly because of the widespread sunny skies. One exception, the far north of Scotland, particularly Orkney and Shetland, where we will see some thicker cloud and some patchy rain. Temperatures held back here. Elsewhere, under that increasingly strong sunshine, mid-20s are possible. The sun, of course, at this time of year is as strong as it is in August. And those temperatures will be slow to fall through the evening. A very pleasant evening for the vast majority. Again, except for Shetland, perhaps where there's some thicker cloud and some patchy rain and drizzle. For the rest of Scotland, it's sunny skies. And for Northern Ireland, chance of a very isolated shower, but sunshine, the main theme through the evening. Temperatures at 6 p.m. still 22, 23 Celsius, remarkably warm for 6, 7 p.m. at the end of April. Now, overnight, we're going to keep those clear skies. Temperatures will fall away after dark, and it'll be a cool night in many places, particularly low-lying valleys and glens where the cold, dense air will linger. Over some hilltops and some coastal areas, temperatures will hold up in the mid-teens, so it'll be a relatively warm start to Wednesday. And across the country, again, we've got bright skies, plenty of dry weather. The exception there, again, northern Scotland, where there'll be some lingering cloud, but generally dry. Now, temperatures are rising, and by the afternoon, mid to high teens are expected in places. I think the afternoon high 27 or 28 Celsius, and even hotter day for the first day of May on Thursday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M56 eastbound in Holton is delayed due to a collision, with one lane closed and a 40-minute delay, expected to clear by 10 this morning. In Buckinghamshire, the M40 southbound between junctions 5 and 4 has lane closures following an incident, with normal conditions expected shortly after 10. In Surrey, a road traffic collision on the M25 clockwise between junctions 13 and 14 has closed one lane, with regular traffic expected by 10. The A96 eastbound at Cravestone roundabout is restricted due to an incident requiring extra travel time. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
We're seeing on the screen